I prepare for rest. The room grows quiet. A soft lamp throws a warm circle of light. The bed welcomes the shape of the body. I invite you to join me in this still hour. Come closer in mind. Settle into the rhythm of the breath. Breathe in, slowly. Hold for a gentle count. Release with the same care. Let each breath return the mind to the present. Feel the weight of the limbs as they meet the mattress. Notice the small sounds that remain, a clock in another room, the faint hum of the evening. Accept them as company rather than distraction. I speak without rush. My voice moves in low, steady phrases. The aim is rest. The aim is mercy. The aim is calm. I do not press for answers. I do not demand change. I give space for whatever is here. Tiredness, relief, great worry, a small joy. Each part of the heart finds a place in this hour. Open your heart in the way you can, not forced, not elaborated, a soft lifting, a willingness to be honest inside. Say nothing out loud. Let the truth of your feelings move like a slow tide. If emptiness surfaces, let it float. If gratitude appears, hold it briefly. If fear knocks, notice the knock and let it pass. I will read from the scriptures before we sleep. The reading is simple. It is gentle. It is not meant for debate. It is meant for comfort. I choose passages that speak of rest, mercy, and the steady presence that follows through the night. I do not aim to teach difficult doctrines now. I seek to hold the listener in calm assurance. Imagine a shepherd on a quiet path. The land breathes. There is a soft track that leads away from noise. The shepherd walks slowly, attentive to each step. That image carries the hope that someone walks with us. The journey does not erase fatigue, but it guides toward quiet places. The thought brings ease. I recall a psalm that paints such scenes. It speaks of green pastures and quiet waters. It shows a guiding hand that steadies the steps. I let the images wash over you rather than hang on every word. You are invited to rest in the picture. See the calm water. Feel the shade. Hear no hurry in the air. There is also a simple invitation woven through the gospel. It calls the tired to lay down burdens and find relief. The language of that call feels like a cool hand on a weary forehead. It promises rest for those who carry heavy loads. It does not shame the burden. It offers company for the weight. That promise sits beside you now. I choose a short passage to read. I speak slowly, and with space between each phrase. Listen more to the feeling than to the exact wording. Picture a path through familiar fields. Notice how the footsteps fall evenly. Let the cadence of the lines match the cadence of your breath. I read a portion that often comforts at night. It asks for trust and offers care. It reminds that comfort can come when the pace softens. Imagine words folding over the shoulders like a warm shawl. Each syllable moves like a soft hand smoothing the brow. As I read, allow the mind to attach to one simple image, maybe a small lantern on a windowsill, maybe a steady heartbeat. Choose the image that comforts most. Let other thoughts pass like leaves on water. Return gently whenever the mind slips away. After the reading, I speak a few short reflections. These reflections stay light. They do not try to solve everything. They simply point to the presence that follows in quiet. Mercy arrives in small ways. A remembered kindness, a forgiving glance, an unexpected grace that slips into the day and settles in the bones. Hope sits like a small ember. It needs no grand flame to be real. It rests in ordinary moments. A soft morning light, a dependable roof, the friend who calls, the memory of laughter. These things steady the heart. They remind that the next day holds space to begin again. I encourage letting go of the urgent lists for tonight. Tomorrow will carry its own tasks. Tonight, allow a pause. Imagine setting each task in a small box and placing the box on a shelf. The shelf can wait. Your body needs this night now. Give it the permission to breathe, to soften, to be still if sorrow feels present. Let it rest in gentle company. Picture a quiet room with a single chair. Place the sorrow there for a while. Sit beside it without forcing a remedy. Presence itself becomes a kind of balm. The ache does not have to be fixed immediately. It can be held quietly and seen without hurry. Lean into the promise of mercy. Mercy does not erase the past overnight. It does not demand that wounds vanish by dawn. Mercy simply keeps company with the aches and offers rest. It is like a calm companion who watches beside the bed and says nothing more than "I am here." That presence can ease the body into sleep. I guide attention back to the breath. Count each inhale as 1. Count each exhale as 2. Keep this small rhythm. Let the numbers fade into the feeling of air moving in and out. The breath becomes an anchor. When the mind wanders to lists, to noises, to regrets, return to that anchor without judgment. Softly picture a safe harbor. The harbor does not have to be concrete. It can be a memory of a small kindness, the face of someone who once smiled warmly, the sound of a song that steadied the heart. Hold that harbor as a refuge for this night. Allow the mind to come back to it often. I will read one more short passage now. This passage speaks of waking and working, of resting and trusting. It holds both the ordinary and the sacred. I read it slowly. I let space follow each phrase so the words can sink. As the words move, notice how the heart receives them. No pressure to respond. Just receive. After the reading, I invite a short moment of silence. In that silence, feel the presence that surrounds you. Some call it mercy. Some call it grace. I call it the gentle assurance that you are not alone. You can rest with that knowledge. The night becomes a place of repair. The sleep becomes a gentle mending. If anxiety appears, speak to it in a single breath. Breathe in calm. Breathe out tension. Repeat this a few times. The body starts to remember how to relax. Muscles that stayed tight begin to loosen. The face softens. The jaw unclenches. The shoulders fall. I do not ask for perfect faith. I do not ask for rigid certainty. I offer a small confidence that the night carries care. Trust can be a quiet thing that grows slowly. Allow trust to take root in the smallest moments. A restful hour, a calm thought, a soft prayer muttered without form. Now, prepare to listen as I read a few final lines of scripture in a soft, steady tone. Let the words be like a lullaby for the weary. Let them settle without demanding action. They arrive as a reminder. Rest is permitted. Mercy is near. Hope continues. Close your eyes if that helps. Lean into the mattress. Notice the rise and fall of the chest. Let the last sounds of the room soften. I read slowly, with intention, and with care. Each word lands like a step along a quiet path. When the reading finishes, I will hold a brief pause. In that pause, let the calm spread. Let sleep approach when it chooses. I will stay with you for a moment longer, guiding the breath and the stillness. This evening, begin with a simple prayer, in your own words or in silence. Offer a small surrender of the day's weight. Trust that mercy meets you in the night. Believe that hope quiets the heart, one small breath at a time. Rest now. Let the steady calm wrap around the mind. Allow the body to sink deeper. I will read to you again soon, with the same gentleness and care. For now, sleep is invited. Sleep is safe. Sleep is a kind companion on this quiet night. Settle now. Find the place on the bed that holds the weight best. Tuck a small pillow under the knees if that helps. Let a light blanket rest across the chest. The body notices the difference when small needs are met. A tiny change can invite a deeper ease. Meu voice move slowly. It moves like a slow river, not like a rush. The room is dim. A soft lamp glows at the bedside. Its light is a gentle island. Allow the gaze to soften. Let the eyes rest behind closed lids when it feels right. Notice the hands. Lay them where they feel steady. Open the fingers a little. Let the palms be soft. If a tightness lives in the shoulders, let the shoulders drop a fraction. The jaw may hold the day's tension. Relax the jaw and let the tongue rest where it naturally falls. These small loosening moments add together. They become the body's permission to unwind. Listen to the night beyond the walls. Hear distant footsteps. Akietkar, the hum of an appliance, distant and small. Each sound sits in its own place. None of them demands attention. Treat them like friendly neighbors passing by. The dark outside the window is wide and patient. It keeps no hurry. I invite a slow scanning of the body. From the toes upward, feel the toes. Wiggle them if that helps. Let that movement be soft. Notice the arches of the feet. Allow the ankles to unclench. Move the attention gently to the calves. Feel the warmth that travels upward. The knees rest. The thighs give way. The hips sink deeper into the mattress. The spine lengthens without effort. Each segment eases in turn. A short image can help. Picture a small harbor at dusk. The water is quiet and shallow near the shore. A single boat rests, tied but free to sway. The boat does not rush. It rocks with a slow confidence. Let that boat be a symbol of tonight. It needs no plan. It only keeps company with the water. Let the mind come back to this harbor when other thoughts arrive. I read the scriptures for this hour. I choose lines that hold the heart without arguing. Tonight's passage brings the image of rest through steady care. It speaks of a guide who knows the way, and of safe places where the weary can breathe. I do not quote the words here. I let their sense settle instead. Imagine phrases that offer a hand and invite a pause. Let those phrases move like soft footsteps across the room. Mercy appears in small acts. Rekoldkindness. A soft word given earlier in the day. An unexpected comfort that arrives in a thought. Picture mercy as a soft cloth laid over a bruise. It does not fix everything, but it cools and calms. Keep that cloth nearby for this night. Let it press gently against whatever ache is. Hope is quiet. It is not always bright. Sometimes it is only a faint thread of light at the edge of the curtains. Notice the thread. It keeps its place. It does not force itself. It waits. Trust can grow from such small threads. Allow a tiny trust to sit beside the chest like a small coin of warmth. If restless thoughts come, try a single word repeated silently. Choose a word with a gentle shape. Words like peace, rest, or mercy. Think it softly on the out-breath. Keep it light. When the mind wanders, return without reproach to that soft word. This practice does not chase away the mind. It offers a simple anchor. Now let the breath slow in a different way. Breathe with the whole torso. Notice the belly. Notice the chest. Each inhale is a long arriving. Each exhale is a gentle letting go. Match the breath to the swinging of a slow bridge. Inhale while the bridge rises. Exhale as it descends. The bridge moves steadily. The body follows its pace. Imagine a small lamp on the bedside table. Its light is steady and unhurried. The lamp watches the room like a kindly friend. Think of the lamp's glow as a simple presence. It does not judge the waking day. It simply keeps vigil. Let its glow be the witness that rests with the breathing. I offer a short, silent reading now. The passage whispers of morning and evening, of work that finds rest, of rest that invites strength. It says that a steady presence walks with those who tire. I speak the sense of those lines in a hushed tone. Let the words land like soft stones. They form a path across a shallow stream. Step on each stone slowly. Feel the cool between the toes. Let go of the list of tomorrow for a few minutes. Imagine each task placed into a small envelope. Seal the envelopes and set them on a shelf in the mind. The shelf does not vanish. It waits. For now, the hands are empty. Allow the relief that comes from setting down. There may be a quiet grief tonight. If so, sit with it like an old friend in the corner of the room. Offer it a cup of attention. Do not hurry to fix it. Presence is a balm. Simply staying nearby allows the edges to soften. The night can hold the sorrow with gentle care. Offer a brief prayer, now in the heart. It need not be clever or long. A single thought is enough. Speak it as if whispering to a trusted companion. Ask for rest. Ask for mercy. Ask for a small measure of hope to remain through the sleep. Keep the prayer simple and steady. I will read a short section of scripture aloud now, slowly and with space between phrases. The text speaks of refuge and tender guidance. It mentions green places and quiet waters, and a path that moves without hurry. Listen for the feeling more than the exact words. Let the cadence match the breath. As I read, allow images to come afield at dusk. A hand held in silence, the soft sway of a tree. Pause with me in the silence that follows. Let the reading sit. Notice the way the chest rises and falls. Feel how the shoulders continue to relax. A small quiet gathers like gentle fog. It does not hide the world. It softens its outlines. The mind can rest in that softened space. If tension lingers in the hands, imagine warm water running through them. The warmth flows from the fingertips to the wrists. The heat loosens the grip on worry. Let the warmth move upward through the arms, across the shoulders, and into the back. The entire upper body finds calm. Keep the rhythm slow. Let the inner voice speak in low tones. No heavy thoughts, nor lists. Just one image, one word, one breath. Repeat them if needed. The repetition becomes a gentle track for the mind to follow. When sleep arrives, it will be gradual. It will come as a slow folding of attention inward. The eyelids grow heavier. Thoughts become distant like distant music. The body relaxes more fully. Allow this natural closing. Do not force it. Do not judge its timing. I stay bedside in this quiet hour. My reading continues in a calm, steady manner. I do not rush the phrases. I do not press for insight. The aim is rest, mercy, and a small hope that outlasts the night. Keep the trust that even a single restful hour matters. There is no expectation of perfection tonight. There is only the offering of peace. Accept it in the little ways it comes. A soft breath, a gentle image, a single word lifted in the chest. These are enough. Now, settle deeper into the mattress. Let the breath be the steady drum that guides the inward journey. Close the eyes when it feels right. I remain here a while longer. I will read again with the same softness and care. For now, let the night hold you. Rest is invited and safe. The steady presence keeps watch as sleep begins. I settle in the chair near the bed. The room breathes with a soft hush. A thin blanket rests across the knees. I invite the night to be gentle. My voice stays low. My pace stays slow. I pick up the small book and turn to a familiar place. I tell you where I am reading from. Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28. I do not speak the exact words as if they must be learned. I speak the sense of the verse. The passage offers a quiet invitation. It calls the tired and the burden to come and promises rest. I read that invitation in my own gentle way. I say that an open hand welcomes those weighed down by work and worry. I tell you that rest is promised, not as a quick fix, but as a steady, holding presence. The language settles like a soft cloth. The meaning arrives like cool water on a hot forehead. Listen to that promise as if it is spoken directly to the rib cage. Let the idea move from the ears to the chest. Imagine a known voice saying, "Come close. Lay down the heavy things." I stand beside that voice and echo its tone. I do not press for answers. I only remind the heart that rest is available. Place the burdens one by one on the bedside table inside the mind. See each worry as a small stone. Lift one. Feel its weight. Set it down. Repeat this with care. There is no hurry. Each little stone becomes manageable when handled slowly. The pile shrinks by the simple act of putting things down. Breathe in slowly. Hold for a gentle count of 3. Release fully. With every exhale, imagine a small stone moving from the shoulder to the table. The body listens to the breath. Muscles start to loosen. The jaw unclenches a fraction. The shoulders drop a little more. The breath becomes the bridge between the weight and the letting go. Think of a quiet garden at dusk. A bench sits under an old apple tree. The air tastes faintly of cool fruit and wet earth. That bench is wide enough for whatever you carry. It makes room without judgment. Sit there mentally for a moment. Feel the wood beneath the palms. Feel the slight give when settling in. The act of sitting becomes an offering. If a name or a worry returns, hand it to the garden bench. Picture placing it on the plank beside you. Do not demand it vanish. Simply allow it to rest on the bench. Notice how the chest feels less crowded when a single worry has a spot to be. Presence itself eases the edges. Imagine another small image, a soft rain that drips from eaves into a wide basin. Each drop taps once and then falls away. The rain does not hurry. It keeps its steady rhythm. Let that rhythm match the breath. Inhale as the drop forms. Exhale as it strikes the basin. The steady sound becomes a metronome for calm. The invitation from Matthew stays simple. It promises a companionship that carries weight. It does not promise immediate answers. It promises presence. Presence itself can be a kind of mending. Think of it as a hand placed quietly on the back. It steadies, not scolds. It calms, not corrects. I guide a small body scan now. Start at the toes. Notice any tightness. Breathe into that place. Move attention to the calves. Then the knees. Allow each part to relax as the breath flows through it. Let the hips sink a little deeper into the mattress. Feel the spine lengthen without trying. The neck softens. The face smooths. Keep the breath steady and simple. Count can help. Inhale for a count of 3. Hold briefly. Exhale for a count of 5. The longer exhalation encourages the nervous system to settle. It does not force sleep. It invites the body to remember rest. A quiet mercy sits nearby. It is like a warm cup placed on a cold nightstand. Reach for it in thought. Wrap both hands around the imagined cup. Feel the warmth travel into the palms, and then up the arms. Mercy does not correct mistakes tonight. It simply warms what has grown cold. Hope appears as a pale thread of light through the curtains. It is small and steady. It does not flare. It does not demand being noticed. It simply is. Keep that thread in view. When the mind wanders to lists and frets, bring the thread back gently. Let it guide the eyes of the heart toward morning. If sleep resists, do not measure the time. Do not count failures. Instead, return to one simple phrase. Silently repeat it with each out-breath. Choose a soft phrase, come and rest. Be held. Simply breathe. Say it without force. Let the words slip through the breath like a lullaby. There may be sorrow in the room. If so, do not rush to erase it. Imagine placing the sorrow in a shallow bowl beside the bed. Watch its shape. Give it a small space. Presence and quiet attention reduce the sharpness. Sorrow can sit and be tended like a plant that needs gentle watering. Not harsh pruning. I stay with you as this hour unfolds. My reading continues in a low, steady tone. I do not make long sermons. I offer images, a few words from the scriptures in paraphrase, and a calm rhythm. The aim is rest. The aim is mercy. The aim is hope that does not demand proof. Now, picture a narrow bridge made of soft wood. It crosses a slow river at twilight. Each plank is placed close to the next. Step across it slowly in the mind. The water beneath reflects the stars. The air smells faintly of wet leaves. Each step is careful and peaceful. When the mind drifts, bring it back to the bridge. Take the next step slowly. Keep the hands relaxed on the blanket. If they curl, smooth them open. Let the fingers be loose. Imagine warm sunlight on the backs of the hands. Even if it is night, the sensation does not come from the room. It comes from the memory of gentleness. Let that warmth move inward. When the breath grows even and the body settles, allow the eyelids to close, if they have not already. Give the night permission to carry the day. There is no shame in rest. There is no failure in letting go. The promise read earlier from Matthew echoes softly come. And there is rest for the weary. Offer a brief prayer in the quiet of the heart. It can be a single sentence. Ask for sleep that heals. Ask for mercy that softens. Ask for hope that lingers in the small spaces. Say it as a whisper to the night. No need for eloquence. A single honest phrase is enough. I will read a few more lines in my own quiet words. They speak of steady care, of rest that arrives without forcing, of guidance that keeps pace with tired feet. The cadence slows. The sentences thin out into pauses. The room grows gentler around the sound of the breath. Now comes a longer silence. Stay in it. Let the breathing be the companion for a while. If sleep arrives, welcome it. If rest comes without sleep, accept that too. Both are gifts that mend the edges. I remain here for a short time yet. My last closing is a simple assurance. You are not alone in the dark. Comfort is nearby. The night keeps watch. Rest is permitted and offered. Mercy meets what is weary. Hope quietly waits for morning. Sleep when it comes. If it does not, let the quiet keep company for a while longer. I will return again with the same gentleness. For now, close the eyes and breathe. The invitation stands come. Lay down what you must and rest. I settle back into the quiet. The lamp at my side breathes a warm circle. The night listens. Now I tell a small story of weariness. It is gentle. It is simple. It is true. The memory comes like a low tide. It is not distant. It sits close, at the edge of the ribs. Years ago, there is a season of long evenings. Work extends into late afternoons. The house holds more noise than usual. A loved one grows ill. Nights become long corridors of waiting. Meals are quick. Sleep is thin. The body learns to move on small rests. The mind learns to catalogue what must be done next. One night stands quietly in that season. The room is dim. A single chair sits by the window. Rain taps the glass. The sound is patient. It makes a pattern that the heart recognizes. A book lies open on the lap. Though eyes keep leaving the page, instead of pages, the attention collects small things, the rise and fall of a shallow breath, the hush between heartbeats, the soft click of a clock. I move through the tasks like a slow current. Pills are set on a tray. A glass of water is warmed by hands that tremble a little. A blanket is smoothed over a tired shoulder. The motions are careful. They are not heroic. They are ordinary acts that together become a steady devotion. At some point in that night, weariness feels heavier than the day itself. It is a weight not only in the limbs, but in the memory. The mind cycles through lists. It names what might have been done better. It rehearses the same small regrets. Sleep seems a distant place, guarded by worry and by the small, urgent tasks that do not stop. In that thin hour, a quiet thing happens. A small phrase from the scriptures rises, not as an argument, but as a soft invitation. The voice that speaks it is not loud. It feels more like the settling of a blanket around the shoulders. It whispers that the burden does not have to be carried alone. The wording is simple, and it lands like cool water on a fevered forehead. I do not remember reciting the words then. I remember the response. A decision that I will place one worry on the bedside table and leave it there for a while. The act is small. It is not symbolic for others. It is simply practical for the moment. One worry is named and set down. The name of it is not important now. The fact that it is set down is what matters. Another breath follows. It deepens slightly. The body listens. The shoulders drop by a fraction. The jaw loosens. The heart, which had been keeping watch in a tight place, learns to expand by a single degree. That small space begins to gather rest, like a slow cup gathering rain. There are other small mercies in that night. A friend calls briefly and offers to come by in the morning. A note appears on a phone thinking of you. A neighbor's light is on across the street, which reminds that other people are awake with similar things. These small glances of care do not fix the large problems. They are tiny stitches. Each stitch keeps the fabric from tearing further. I remember holding a cup of tea that night and feeling its warmth move up through the palms. The heat runs like a small promise into the arms and then into the chest. For a moment, the world narrows to that warmth and the sound of rain. The rest does not demand certainty. It only requires permission. Sleep comes slowly. It feels hesitant, like a person who knocks gently and waits for the door to open. The door opens a fraction. A rest settles into the bones, quiet and patient. It is not a perfect or complete sleep. It is a mending kind of sleep. The kind that allows the next day to arrive without the same sharp edges. That season of nights teaches a steady lesson. Weariness is honest work of the soul. It calls for care, not shame. There is no need to hide the tiredness, naming it softly to oneself, and sometimes aloud in the quiet room, gives it a place to be. Once the burden has a place, it often feels lighter. Mercy arrives in small forms. A soft word, a hand placed without speaking, a scripture phrase read slowly by lamplight. These things do not erase the hard edges. They press a calm against them. A wounded place does not vanish, but it cools. A restless mind learns to hold the day without trying to fix every piece at once. Hope keeps its own quiet vigil. It is not loud. It is not flashy. It is like a small star that does not require the sky to be perfect. In that season, hope is a tiny ember kept warm by small acts. A neighbor's casserole taken the next evening, a child's drawing pinned on a fridge. The knowledge that the morning will come, even with its own demands. I mention the scripture passage again, not to teach, but to remind. Its invitation comes like a hand extended, rather than a command. It offers a place to lay down burdens. That offering does not require proof of worthiness. It only asks for a willingness to stop carrying for a time. That pause is often the first door to healing. I learn in those nights to make small, practical habits for rest. A warm cloth at the back of the neck, a short walk down the hallway and back, stretching the fingers and letting them fall loose. A soft phrase breathed on each exhale rest. Be still. Be held. These small acts become the cords that anchor the heart when the wind picks up again. Sometimes weariness shows up not from external strain, but from a long season of small losses. The accumulation of slight disappointments wears a thin thread through the spirit. The remedy is not dramatic. It is ordinary care repeated, a steady rhythm of small mercies, a habit of returning to a scripture phrase that soothes rather than debates, a nightly ritual of setting down worries and making room for the breath. I do not tell this to persuade. I tell it as a companionable truth. There is a thin courage in admitting fatigue. There is a soft bravery in laying down a worry. The act itself is a prayer. Even when words are not used, the body responds to the gesture. The mind follows. And sleep, later, follows the two. The memory ends not with a grand resolution, but with a small, steady scene. Dawn arrives pale and slow. The house breathes out. Tasks return. The day is real with all its needs, but the ache of the night is not as sharp. The small rest gathered in the dim hour holds. It is enough to move forward, step by step. Now, in this quiet room, that memory rests beside the present, when weariness visits the chest tonight, the same small remedies can be offered. A named worry set on a bedside table, a single breath held and released, a gentle phrase, repeated on the out-breath, a warm hand imagined on the back. Each one asks little and gives something true. I read from the scriptures before sleep, because those words hold this same patient tone. They offer an invitation that does not press for perfection. They ask only for a willingness to come. The reading is a steady companion. It does not fix the future. It steadies the present. Before I read now, place a hand over the heart, if that feels right. Feel its rise and fall. Let it be the rhythm to guide the breath. Inhale slowly. Hold briefly. Exhale longer. With each exhale, imagine one small weight moving to the bedside table in the mind. Place it down. Let a soft hush follow. I will read in a few moments. The words will be slow and unadorned. They will not demand answers. They will only offer rest. For anyone carrying a season of weariness, know that small acts of care are real and good. Mercy meets the tired in quiet ways. Hope keeps a steady watch, like a small star. Now breathe again. Allow the night to hold the memory and the present at once. Sleep may come. If it does not, let the stillness be a companion a while longer. When the reading begins, listen for the sense more than the sentence. Let the words settle like a gentle hand. The invitation remains, come. Lay down what you must, and rest. I open the small book again and turn to a place I know well. The page breathes in the lamplight. I read slowly, more like an offering than a lesson. The lines lead toward a scene of water and quiet. The sense of the words moves like a soft current. I do not rush them. Each phrase rests between the breaths. The psalm shows a shepherd who guides. The shepherd does not shove. The shepherd walks beside. Step by careful step. The path is not wild. It is gentle. The feet move on soft earth. The air tastes like moss. The sound is hush. Being led feels safe and unhurried. Imagine Along. Shallow pool tucked into a fold of land. The surface is mirror smooth. Reeds stand along the edge and do not disturb the face of the water. A single cloud drifts and leaves its shape for a moment. The pool keeps the world's image without complaint. It does not hurry to change. It only receives. Let that image rest in the mind for a while. Water like this has a quiet work. It calms. It cools hot hands. It holds fallen leaves without swallowing them. The stillness does not mean absence of motion. It means motion that is steady and kind. When we walk beside it, the chest finds more room. The mind loosens its tight grip on lists and plans. Breathing follows the slow line of the water. The words that speak of leading beside quiet waters say something about guidance. Guidance is not a push in some new direction. Guidance is the steady placement of one foot in front of the other. It is a companion who knows the safe steps. To be led like that is to be shown a place where the body can relax. It is to be invited to stop carrying what has been worn for too long. Restoration of the soul is pictured with the same gentleness. Think of restoration not as sudden repair, but as careful mending. A torn garment is laid flat. Small stitches are made by patient hands. The fabric does not become new all at once. It becomes useful again. The thread holds what needs holding. Light comes back to the colors. A similar thing happens inside when the heart is tended. There is a particular tenderness in the phrase about leading. It implies attention. Someone watches the steps. Someone notices when feet stumble. Someone knows where the grass gives way and where the stones are hidden. That attention does not scold, it steadies. That steadiness allows the nervous system to unclench. Muscles that have been poised for action soften. An old vigilance begins to fade. The quiet waters invite a kind of listening, not the sharp, anxious listening that scans for danger. This listening is like waiting for rain to begin. It is open and calm. When the attention rests there, thoughts become like pebbles dropped into a pond. Each thought makes a ring that fades. No thought has to be held long. The pond receives and lets go. Try a small practice. Now, close the eyes if that feels right. Picture a soft pool and the outline of a willow near its bank. Breathe slowly in. Breathe out long. On the in-breath, imagine the air like cool water arriving at the chest. On the out-breath, imagine a small ripple moving across the pool. Let each ripple carry a small concern away. Give the concerns to the water for a moment. See them float and settle. Do not try to fix them. Allow the pond to keep them for now. Restoration often comes in small returns rather than sweeping changes. A warmth returns to the cheeks. A breath deepens. A sense of being seen returns. These are quiet gifts. They do not demand loud acknowledgement. They arrive like a steady drip that fills a cup over time. The cup becomes heavy with mercy before any big moment happens. Mercy in the verse feels practical. It is not a grand abstract idea. It looks like shade on a hot day. It tastes like cool water pressed to the lips. It arrives without fanfare. Mercy does not ask for a performance or a certain kind of feeling. It simply shows up and meets what is present. That meeting itself begins to heal. Sometimes the mind imagines that being led means losing control. Yet this leading is different. It offers a choice to follow. It creates a safe space to pause. The shepherd's hand is an invitation. It says, take a breath, walk slowly. Let the feet feel the path. The invitation is gentle. It asks no proof. It asks only for a willingness to trust the next small step. In the dark hours, the picture of still water helps steady a body that wants to keep moving. The habit of doing can be strong. The urge to fix everything now. The quiet water teaches a different skill. It teaches patience. It teaches that some things mend best with time and a steady presence. A gentle hand and a consistent watch can restore more than frantic effort. There is also an image of shepherd care that matters. The shepherd leads to places where needs are met. Grass is not thinned and ragged. There is enough. The water is safe and drinkable. Needs are anticipated. That provision brings a calm that the heart recognizes. In such a place, fear can loosen its hold. Listen now as the lines I read settle into silence. Let the scene hold a small corner of the mind. No need to unpack it. No need to analyze. Simply allow the image to rest. Let the lungs widen a little. Let the shoulders drop a fraction. Let the jaw soften. Each small shift is a part of the restoration there. If sleep comes, let it come. If it does not, this steady scene can still be a companion. Lay the worries as one would lay small things on a shelf. They will remain within reach. But they are not pressing now. The water keeps a quiet watch. The shepherd walks slowly along the edge. The soul is invited to rest. A brief, silent prayer can be offered now. Speak nothing aloud. In the heart, name a small need. Ask for steady care. Ask for a patient guide for the night. The prayer need not be elaborate. A single breath can hold it. The seeking of quiet is itself an act of trust. I will read these ideas softly and slowly before sleep. The reading does not aim to resolve every ache. It aims to steady the heart enough for rest. Tonight the words are like a small lamp. They show the next few steps. They remind that guidance, mercy, and quiet do not require loud proof. They arrive in the simple work of leading, tending, and waiting. When the reading finishes, pause in the silence for a long breath. Let the mind follow the water's surface. Watch the ripples fade. Allow the calm to settle like a soft cloth over the chest. Sleep. When it comes, we'll find a place already made. If rest does not come, the peace of being led will still hold for a while. I stay by the bed for a few more moments. The lamp keeps its circle. The book rests. The invitation stands. There is a shepherd who leads beside quiet waters. There is a presence that restores gently. Let that truth settle into the bones as the night moves on. Rest now. Softly and without hurry, the steady care remains through the dark and into the next dawn. The lamp throws a soft circle. The room keeps a steady hush. I fold the small book and tuck a finger between the pages where I will return. Tonight the reading is about mercy. Tonight I mean to speak of forgiveness. My voice stays low. My pace stays slow. Earlier this week, a small scene offers itself. It does not come from a sermon or a speech. It comes from a narrow kitchen at the back of a house. The hour is late. A clock ticks in another room. Rain has stopped and left the air cool. Two people sit at the table, with a thin lamp between them. One is older. One is younger. Both hold histories as if they were folded letters. Creased and layered. I watch because I am there. I sit on the edge of the counter with a cup of tea warming my hands. The younger person's hands tremble a little. The older hands rest on the table like a slow apology. Neither rushes. The silence is heavy, but not angry. It feels like two thin ropes that have frayed, but not snapped. A scrap of a story has led them here. Old mistakes. A long time stubbornness. Words left unsaid for years. I have seen such tensions before. They have a way of sitting in the chest and tightening the shoulders. They make ordinary air taste thin. Tonight the air changes. A small phrase from the book had just been read aloud by me a few minutes earlier. The passage speaks of mercy and the way it moves between people. It does not command. It invites. The younger one reaches slowly for a small object on the table. A watch. A simple thing. It once belonged to someone both of them loved. The watch is scratched at the edge. The face remembers sunlight. Handling it. The younger hand looks like it weighs the past. The watch is offered back across the lamplight. The older person takes it. And for a moment, the fingers brush. The contact is minimal. But it feels like a lengthening of the rope, The larger tension loosens by a hair. There is no loud declaration. There is no grand speech. The movement is tiny and precise. The younger person says the name of a hurt and something small about regret. The words are soft. They are not a plea for absolution. They are a simple naming. The older one listens. A pause follows long enough for the rain on the eaves to be heard. Then the older hand moves to the younger hand and rests there, without force. The hand is not a sign of approval for every past action. It is a choice to stop the cycle of accusation. Forgiveness in that kitchen looks like a small untying. It is not erasing. It is not pretending that harm did not happen. It is an act of willing to carry less of the bruise together. The shoulders that had been set like drawn bows gradually find their natural arc again. The jaw unclenches. Breath steadies. The lamp keeps its glow, and no one rushes to fill the silence with more words. I remember thinking in that moment that forgiveness is often quieter than imagined. It is less about loud absolution and more about the slow rearrangement of ordinary life. A shared cup of tea after a long silence says as much as any speech. A hand placed, then kept, says as much as any contract. The watch, small and battered, returns not as a token, but as a truce. The truce allows life to proceed differently. The scene offers another mercy. Later, when the lamp has been dimmed and guests have left, the younger one slips a note under the older one's bedside lamp. It is not long. It is not ornate. It asks only for small things for time, for a chance to be better, for a slow rebuilding. The note does not demand forgiveness. It simply shows a willingness to try. The older person keeps the note folded like a small treasure. That act of keeping is itself a kind of forgiveness. It says, the future may be different. And that thought is enough to steady the night. I think of the body that hosts forgiveness. The chest is where it begins. Forgiveness loosens the ribs. It allows the lungs to fill deeper. The change is physical. The nervous system notices. Muscles that had braced for a fight relax their guard. The face softens. Sleep becomes possible. In the days after that small night, both sleep a little more easily. The small mending holds like a patch sewn on the inside where no one need. Admire it. Forgiveness also ripples outward. In the mornings following, small habits shift. A shared newspaper left on the kitchen table. A mismatched mug placed back in its familiar spot. Little courtesies return. The meaning of those tiny acts is not always spoken. It is visible in the ease of a hand reaching for the kettle, and in the lack of a defensive posture when the phone rings. Mercy changes conduct, slowly and gently. I read from the book again that week. This time a short paraphrase about forgiving as one is forgiven. I speak it not as doctrine, but as practice. The wording sits like a quiet instruction. It suggests that when mercy is received, there is a willingness to pass it on. But it also allows for boundaries and care. Forgiveness does not require forgetting or reckless trust. It allows for cautious steps and for small, watchful rebuilding. That nuance matters on a night when fear still lingers. Witnessing forgiveness teaches another thing about prayer. A simple whispered request in the heart can prepare the hands to act. Before any paper or watch changed hands in that kitchen, there was a small inward offering, a brief phrase, spoken without show, asking for courage to make the first move. The prayer is not a magic that forces reconciliation. It is a softening of the will. It sets the mind to be ready to receive the other's gesture when it comes. Sometimes forgiveness is practical rather than verbal. On an ordinary afternoon in that same house, a jar of preserves goes missing from the shelf and later appears with a note of apology. The one who took it has left a fresh batch in exchange. No legalities are drawn. No demands are made. The exchange repairs something small but real. The rebuilding of trust often happens in these little swaps. A repaired hinge, a replaced light bulb. Such acts say that one intends to be present and useful. They are the daily sewing of a relationship. I keep the story simple because simple things steady the heart. Complex theology can wait for a different hour. For now, the need is tender and immediate. Mercy is a small socket where light can be placed. Forgiveness lets a lamp glow in the room again. The glow is modest. It is enough. There are times when forgiveness is not possible in one night. Some wounds require slow tending. That is a mercy in itself. Time can be a companion for healing. Patience is a way of being merciful to the heart. To sit with another and to refuse to reopen old wounds is itself a form of care. The presence that holds, even without words, often does a deeper work than a rushed reconciliation. As I read to you tonight, imagine holding such a small scene in the palm of the mind. Picture the lamp between two people. Picture the watch laid down and picked up. Picture the hand that stays instead of leaving. Let the image be as quiet as a soft bell. Let it show a way forward when heaviness sits on the chest. Forgiveness also teaches self-mercy. I have seen it in the mirror at dawn. Admitting mistakes and asking for patience from oneself can loosen the grip of shame. A single small act of kindness toward oneself, closing a busy notebook early, stepping outside for a breath, making a plain meal can be the beginning of repair. The inward voice that condemns often grows loud at night. Offer it a softer counterphrase. Allow the heart to try differently. I will read a short portion now. Slowly and with space between each phrase. The passage speaks of mercy that is given and received. It speaks of a hand that steadies rather than strikes. Listen for the sense more than the sentence. Let the cadence match the ease of breath. Let the words fold into the quiet like a soft cloth. After the reading, rest for a moment. Think of one small act of forgiveness that might be possible tomorrow. It need not be vast. It can be a note, a cup of tea, a phone call left unanswered by impatience, but redialed with gentleness. Or it can be an inward act permission to be imperfect, permission to try again. Each small action matters. Each small mercy changes the shape of a day. When forgiveness rests in a room, the night becomes gentler. Sleep slides in more easily. The body finds relief. The mind lets go of repeated rehearsals. That peace does not demand immediate resolution of all things. It asks only for a willingness to move toward repair. One small step at a time. I stay by the bedside a while longer. The lamp keeps its circle. The small book rests open. The story of the kitchen folds into this hour. Mercy has weight and texture. Forgiveness is a practice. It is not a single event, but a steady habit. For tonight, let that truth be enough. Now breathe slowly. Let the breath gather the edges of the thoughts. On the out-breath, let go of one small worry. Trust that mercy meets you, that forgiveness can begin in tiny gestures, and that the night will hold the rest of the work. Sleep when it comes. Rest without hurry. The lamp will be low, and the book will remain until morning. I lift the book again and rest my thumb where the page wants to stay. The lamp keeps its circle. The room knows the slow rhythm now. I tell you where I turn tonight. Vi finger finns Colossians. A short letter that sits quietly in the book. There is a line there I often carry into the dark hours. I do not read it aloud, word for word. I speak the sense I hear in it. The verse asks us to bear with one another. It calls us to forgive one another. The phrase places forgiveness inside the small circle of daily life. It is not a distant ideal reserved for grand moments. It lives in kitchens and corridors, in the folded laundry and the shared cup of tea. The urging happens among people who breathe the same air. It asks that we let go of a grievance when we can, and that we pass along the mercy we have been given. I think of where this encouragement tends to meet people. It happens in the ordinary places. It happens at the table where hands touch for a moment. It happens in the room where only lamplight knows the shape of regret. It happens when one heart names a failing, and another chooses not to hold it like a weapon. That is where the verse breathes in the same room. Among those who are close enough to hurt one another and to heal one another. Forgiveness, as the passage suggests, moves between people who live together in one common life. It does not require sudden forgetting. It does not erase memory. Instead, it asks for a change in how memory is carried. A harm can remain known. The holding of that harm can change. The body that once braced against an old injury can let the shoulders drop. The face that clenched can soften. That small change matters. I return to the kitchen scene I told earlier. The watch crosses the table. Fingers touch. Barely. The watch is an ordinary thing. It once marked regular hours and small shared times. The act of offering it back is small and precise, yet the smallness is the point. Small acts shape the everyday. They make the larger mending possible. Forgiveness in that room looks like a hand that does not withdraw. It looks like a note kept under a lamp. It looks like a quiet willingness to try again. There is a physical relief that follows such a moment. The chest finds more space. The breath lengthens. Muscles that tightened for self-protection loosen their hold. The nervous system notices the change. Sleep moves nearer, because the mind no longer rehearses the old accusation on a loop. Mercy clears a place at the bedside table, where a worry need not sit forever. Listen with me now. Picture a small table near the bed. On it sits one worry, perhaps a name, perhaps a memory of a sharp word. Imagine lifting it gently and placing it on the table. See the lamplight fall across it. There is no hurry to fix it. The act is simply choosing a spot for it so the hands are free. Let that image stay for a breath. Forgiveness also brings a different texture to everyday acts. Washing a cup becomes an act of care rather than of duty. Passing the salt at the table becomes a small bridge, instead of a place to keep score. The change is not always dramatic. It is quiet and incremental. Little courtesies begin to return. The pace of life eases. The home breathes in a softer rhythm. There is also a personal mercy that the verse points to. It asks one to forgive as one has been forgiven. That is a tender and strangely practical instruction. We find within ourselves mistakes and shortcomings. Sometimes the hardest forgiveness is the one owed to oneself. The same small moves help here. Name a fault gently. Place it on the bedside table in the mind. Let a soft phrase go on the out-breath. I will try again. The phrase need not be proud. It need not be loud. It is a willing step toward being kinder to the self. If forgiveness feels impossible tonight, that is not shameful. Some wounds need slow tending. Time can be a companion. Patience becomes a form of mercy. To refuse to reopen a wound is itself a practice of care. Sitting quietly with another without forcing reconciliation can be a deeper kindness than any hurried apology. The verse gives room for that slow work. It asks for a willingness to move toward mercy when the time is right. Consider a small practice to take into the night. Hold the breath for a gentle count. On the out-breath, picture placing one small grievance onto the table by the lamp. Say nothing aloud. Let the gesture be inward and simple. Breathe again. Imagine a soft cloth smoothing over whatever remains. You are not obliged to forgive everything at once. You are only asked to offer one small motion toward letting go. I notice how forgiveness ripples beyond a single act. The evening after the watch is returned, the kitchen feels different. A shared paper lies on the table without an edge. A hand reaches for the kettle with less haste. These are small changes, but they shape the day-to-day. Mercy does not always arrive as a flood. It often comes as a series of small openings that let a steady light through. There is also a humble truth. In the verse, we are encouraged to bear with one another. Bearing is not passive. It is a practiced courage. It means continuing to show up. It means accepting that people are unfinished. Bearing allows for small failures and for slow rebuilding. When combined with the willingness to forgive, it forms a gentle habit that steadies households and communities. I read the sense of the verse now in my own words. I speak slowly and leave space between phrases. The lines ask us to be patient with one another. They urge a readiness to forgive, mirroring the mercy that meets us. They place this work in the ordinary places of life. Listen for the feeling more than for the sentence. Let the cadence match your breath. After the reading, rest in a long quiet. Let the mind return to a single image of mercy. Perhaps it is a lamp between two people. Perhaps it is a small watch set down on a table. Perhaps it is a note kept like a quiet treasure. Hold the image without forcing more from it than it offers. Before sleep, offer a small inward prayer, if that feels right. It need not be elaborate. A single sentence is enough. Ask for the courage to set down one small grievance. Ask for the gentle willingness to forgive, as one has been forgiven. If prayer feels heavy, simply breathe and let the breath be the prayer. Forgiveness does not make everything easy. It does not erase the past. it does invite a different way of carrying it. It frees the hands for new work. It makes the nights less sharp. It bends the spine toward rest. I will stay here a while longer. The lamp keeps its circle. The book is ready. When the reading finishes, let the hush settle around the chest. Place one small worry on the mental bedside table. Let mercy meet it, slowly and kindly. When sleep comes, it will find a softer place to land. If rest does not come, let the stillness be company for a while. The invitation remains bear with one another. Forgive one another. Sleep now, with that small mercy held near. I sit here with a book in my lap. The lamp is low. The room listens. I am the one who reads the scriptures to you before sleep. Tonight I speak of grace. I speak of the steady, unearned kindness that shapes my nights and carries me through the small hours. Grace is not a large thing that only happens once. For me, it is a steady current. It comes in small kindnesses. It arrives without ceremony. It finds its way into plain days. I notice it in the ordinary tasks that keep life together. It is the way a friend remembers a need. It is a neighbor who clears the path. It is the quiet that falls when the work is done. These things are thin, almost invisible, yet they gather into a deep provision. I hold the idea of grace like a soft shawl. It rests on the shoulders without choking. It warms without dazzling. The shawl does not demand a new self to wear it. It simply covers what is tired. That covering lets the body relax. It loosens the jaw. It eases the shoulders. I breathe with the shawl on. The breath lengthens. I think of grace as a habit more than a moment. Each day throws small stones. Some are hard to bear. Grace is what keeps the hands free to set one stone down. It is the gentle insistence that I need not carry everything at once. The insistence is not a scolding. It is a patient reminder. It is easy to forget this in the rush. The night helps. The quiet gives space to remember. I practice a simple way of meeting grace before sleep. I name 3 ordinary mercies from the day. I say them inwardly. A warm cup, a brief laugh, a safe return home. Naming them does 2 things. It trains the eye to find good. It forms a rhythm that quiets the mind. The list does not have to be large. Small things count. The smallness is the point. When I read scripture aloud, I let grace shape the tone. I do not argue with the page. I let the words fall like rain. The hearing is more important than the grasping. Grace meets the ear and the heart at once. It can sound like a phrase about being cared for. It can feel like a hand placed gently on the head. The book helps me point to that hand. Grace is the reason rest feels safe. When I acknowledge grace, sleep is less suspicious. The mind stops testing the darkness for threats. Instead, it learns to expect a kind presence. This presence does not fix all things. It does not remove pain by a snap, but it sits with the pain and holds it. Holding is a kind of action that steadies. It makes the next morning possible. I try to practice small acts that embody grace. I leave room in the day for nothing. I place one unfinished task aside with no shame. I offer a soft note of thanks to someone who helped. I return a call I once put off. None of these are grand. They are tiny repairs. They stitch the ordinary wear of life. Over time, the stitches hold. Sometimes grace arrives as forgiveness from others. Sometimes it is the ability to forgive myself. Self-mercy can be the hardest to find. I learn to treat my mistakes the way I treat a cracked plate. I do not throw it away immediately. I clean it. I set it on the shelf. I use it gently. The plate keeps its scar, but it remains useful. So it is with the self, acknowledging that grace accepts the imperfect and keeps the hands open. I watch how grace changes the pattern of nights. Long ago, nights could be full of repeating worries. The mind would replay scenes like an old film. Sleep avoided me. But when attention shifts toward grace, the film softens. The same images come, but with a different light. A mistake remains a mistake. It no longer wants to be the whole story. Grace adds other scenes to the reel. Scenes of help. Scenes of small joys. The balance changes. I pay attention to the small gifts that come without earning. A meal given. A message that reads simply, thinking of you. A quiet moment when the house is still. These gifts do not ask for repayment. They exist freely. That freedom is the essence of grace. It teaches me to accept without immediate defense. Acceptance itself becomes a practice of rest. There are times when the world feels harsher. Grace then can feel distant. In those nights, I lean into ritual. I make a small space by the bedside where I keep a list. It is a private list of things that point to goodness. I take it out. Even if the hand that writes the list trembles, reading the list steadies the breath. Grace is not absent then. It is hard to see. The list becomes a way to find it again. When I read to you, I notice how grace changes what I say. I do not use high language. I use steady words. I lean on images that the ear can hold easily. A lamp, a shawl, a cup. These are simple things. They carry meaning at night. They remind the mind of mercy that is tangible. The language becomes an offering. The offering invites the heart to rest. Grace also comes through service. I have been on the receiving end, and then I have been moved to pass it along. The movement is quiet. It might be making a pot of soup for someone who cannot cook. It might be sitting with a person who needs to speak. These acts are small. They do not fix everything, but they make room. Grace spreads in such places because it is easy to return what has been given. There is a steady truth I keep in the pocket of the night. I do not earn my worth by action alone. I rest because of what has been done for me, not because of what I must accomplish. This truth loosens the need to prove worth in the small hours. It is a soft rule I may set down my list. I may be enough without finishing everything. The rule feels like mercy. I invite you into a short practice with me now. Breathe slowly. Picture a light that does not demand brightness. It is steady and patient. On the in-breath, notice one small mercy from today. On the out-breath, offer it back as thanks. Do this 3 times. Keep the movement small. Keep the language quiet. The practice trains a habit of noticing grace. Grace meets fear gently. It does not challenge fear immediately. It sits beside it. The presence beside fear is not an argument. It is a companion. In the quiet of the night, companions matter more than proofs. The companion can be a remembered kindness. It can be a phrase read softly from the book. It can be a simple breath held together. There are nights when legalities and rules seem tempting. Tonight is not the hour for that. Grace is not a list to be completed. It is the willingness to be shaped by kindness. The heart that knows it has been loved without performance learns to sleep. That learning happens in small increments and persistent practice. As I read in the dim light, I offer a brief, inward prayer. It is not ornate. It is simply a turning. I name the need for rest. I name gratitude for the unseen provision of the day. I ask for a steadying presence through the night. The prayer is short because the night prefers small sentences. It is enough to shift the posture from tension to release. If guilt comes tonight, I do not hide it. I let it sit on the edge of the bedside table like a folded note. I do not smooth it out into denial. I do not clutch it to make it bigger. I set it down. Grace meets it there and begins its quiet work. The action is not dramatic. It is a slow exchange of weight. The hands are freed to lay down another small burden. I will read a few lines now. Slowly, I will let the sense of the words dwell rather than rush. My voice is calm. The cadence matches the beating of a patient heart. Listen more to the feeling than to the sentence. Let the sense of being held sink into the ribs like steady warmth. When the reading finishes, remain in the silence for a long breath. Let grace settle like a thin blanket across the chest. Keep the practice of naming 3 mercies if it helps. Fold a small worry aside. Close the eyes when it feels right. Sleep may come quickly. It may come slowly. Both are welcome. Tonight, I leave this short assurance with you. Grace accompanies the weary. It is not earned. It keeps its watch without applause. Rest unter it. Receive what comes as gift. When morning comes, continue the small practice. Keep passing along what you have been given. For now, breathe and let the steady mercy of this night hold you. The lamp keeps its small circle. A book rests open on my lap. I am the one who reads the scriptures before you close your eyes. Tonight I sit with a line that has steadied many nights for me. It says that grace is enough. It says that strength sometimes shows up through what is weakest. I do not press that line into a lecture. I let it settle like a soft cloth across the shoulders. The idea is simple. When the body feels thin and the mind feels small, something quiet can arrive. It does not come as applause. It comes as presence. It comes as help that fills the places where ability runs low. Imagine a cracked jar set beside a lamp. The crack is clear. Water holds in the jar, though it bears its scar. When the light touches the crack, something interesting happens. The light does not hide the break. It bathes it gently. The jar still serves. The break becomes part of its shape. In the same way, weakness does not disqualify a life from being useful. It becomes a place where steady care can enter. There is a tender truth here that I have learned slowly. Power is not always the loud thing we imagine. Sometimes power comes like a warm hand on a tired shoulder. Sometimes it comes like a patient hand that lifts an arm that can no longer hold on. When the strength of a life is not enough, a different kind of help takes over. That help is quiet, and it is enough. Many nights hold a private list, small failures, things left undone, words that came too quick or too slow. Those lists feel heavy in the dark. The room seems to echo them back. In such moments, the teaching about grace being sufficient is not a remote truth. It becomes a practical shelter. It says that not every burden must be borne to the last ounce. Placing a load down for a while is not weakness. It is wisdom. Try a small practice with me. Close the eyes if that helps. Breathe in slowly. Notice a place that feels worn. Name it gently in the heart. It might be a regret. It might be an ache of the body. It might be a fear about tomorrow. Exhale. On that out-breath, imagine setting the named thing on the small table by the bed. See it rest there. You do not abandon it. You give it a safe place for now. The act of placing a worry down is an act of trust. It is a tiny ceremony. It trains the hands and the heart to know that not every weight needs to be carried through the night. The rest that follows is a wall of small mercies. A gider heartbeat, a suftuju, a shoulder that eases from a held position. There is another image I return to. A winter tree stands with several limbs thin and broken from storms. Yet the trunk remains. The trunk keeps the tree alive. In the spring, new shoots sometimes come through unexpected places. The old splits do not disappear. They become part of the living pattern. When strength seems absent, it is often the trunk of care that holds. Something grows from that steadiness which was not there before. When the body punishes with harsh thoughts, remember the softer truth. Weakness can be the opening for help. The world does not stop because of one shortfall. It continues. And help often arrives in small hands and quiet words. A neighbor's light left on. A note sent at noon. A cup left warm on a doorstep. These little things are the form of power that lifts when personal reserves run thin. There is no need to craft an answer tonight. The point is not to fix everything. The point is to rest with the assurance that help is not absent, and that the night is not only for replaying mistakes. The night can be a classroom where gentleness is taught. It instructs in small steps. It asks for a willingness to receive when the usual strength is gone. If it helps, picture a lantern passed along a row of weary hands. Each hand holds it for a while. The light keeps moving, and no single hand must burn itself out. The lamp does not judge the hands. It simply warms and shows the next step. When a hand grows heavy, another takes its place without spectacle. The work continues with shared care. That is the way of grace. It divides the load not by removal, but by shared keeping. Perhaps the hardest lesson is toward the self. It is easier to offer mercy to others than to the face in the mirror. Yet the same kindness belongs there too. When errors appear, name them without crushing. Offer the self a small, steady forgiveness. There is a freedom in that motion. It loosens the chest. It makes room for sleep. It does not erase the past. It creates a space to try another way tomorrow. This teaching reshapes small choices. A slow evening replaces an extra hour of worry. A plain meal tastes enough instead of striving for perfection. A quick walk around the block becomes permission to breathe without finishing a list. The gestures are simple. They add up. They invite power to come in layers rather than in a single heroic push. I have seen such power in ordinary scenes. A person admits not having the answer and takes a breath. A friend holds silence and waits. A parent sets aside a project to listen. These are not dramatic rescues. They are steady, everyday rescues. They shift the tone of the house. They make the night softer. Listen now to the slow cadence of a few paraphrased lines. They do not ask for proof or for a sudden fixing. They say the grace given is enough. There is power that shows up in the spaces where strength is missing. Receive that at once. Let it be a steady presence. Let it meet what is fragile. If doubt comes, do not battle it with more force. Treat it like a small guest that needs a cup of tea. Offer a breath. Offer a soft phrase. Inwardly, I can rest for a while. Let the thought be simple and true. The night is not the arena for proving worth. It is the place for finding rest. Before sleep, practice a short ritual. Place the palm over the chest. Feel the gentle rise and fall. Breathe in for a calm count. Hold a beat. Breathe out slowly. On each out-breath, imagine one thin place being warmed. The warmth is not clumsy. It is patient and sure. Repeat 3 times. Keep the motions small. If weariness is deep and old, do not expect a sudden cure in one night. Healing often arrives in small, repeated kindnesses. A consistent rhythm of rest and a string of soft decisions over days make a change. The night can be a place to begin that rhythm. One small rest becomes 2. 2 become a habit. The habit becomes a second nature of mercy. There is also the quiet duty of watching for others who are thin. When someone nearby falters, a slow presence can be the power that steadies. A listening ear, a meal left in silence, a hand that stays without lecturing. Such acts do not fix everything. They make the night bearable. They remind the heart that hands are not meant to carry alone. I will read now in simple language, and slowly. The words will not be a law to master. They will be an offering. They will ask nothing more than willingness to rest in what is given. Listen with the body as much as the ears. Let the sense of sufficiency settle into the limbs. After the reading, remain in the quiet for a long, slow breath. Let the mind return to the small table by the bed. If anything needs to be set down, set it there now in the imagination. See the lamp glow over it. Let the weight shift. Allow a partial letting go. Rest arrives where hands can be open and where the heart allows help to be near. I stay a little longer by the bedside. The lamp keeps its circle. The book folds into my lap. The night moves slow and sure. When sleep finds you, it will find a place already made by this gentle acceptance. If rest does not come at once, let the quiet keep company a while longer. Grace is enough. Power arrives where weakness opens the door. Sleep now. With that thought resting beside the heart, I fold the page and set the book gently on the bedside. A soft hush fills the room. The lamp keeps its circle of light. This is the moment for a short, prayerful reflection. I will guide it slowly. Take it in as you can. First, settle the body. Let the shoulders drop a fraction. Lay the hands where they feel steady. Place one palm over the chest, if that feels right. Notice the rise and fall beneath the hand. Breathe with it. Breathe simply. Inhale calm. Exhale tension. Name one small thing that sits heavy tonight. It could be a worry, a tiredness, a regret, or a quiet need. Do not try to fix it. Give it a name and place it on the bedside table of the mind. See it there as an object you can return to. For now, allow the hands to be empty. Now listen with the ears of the heart. There is a presence near these hours that does not ask for a long speech. It asks only for honesty and a willingness to be still. Think of that presence as a steady lamp. It watches without hurry. It offers warmth without demand. I speak a few simple phrases for prayer. Say them inwardly in your own words, if that helps. Keep each phrase short. Pause between each one. Let the silence hold the phrase as it lands. Begin with a soft offering of rest. Say in the heart, hold my tiredness. Let the words be simple. Do not measure the depth of fatigue. Offer it as you would hand a small stone to a friend. Lay it down. Breathe. Feel the shoulders shift. Next, offer a quiet, asking for mercy. Inwardly say, meet my mistakes with kindness. No long explanation. No rigid defense. Say the line and let the air carry it. Mercy often comes as a gentle hand that does not pry but steadies. Include a brief request for gentle hope. Think, keep a small light in this night. Imagine a thin thread of dawn at the edge of the curtain. Let that tiny image sit near the heart. It needs no grandeur. It only needs to be allowed to exist. If there is grief, name it plainly, carry this sorrow with me. Do not try to reorder the feeling. Let the prayer be a companion. Picture the sorrow wrapped in a soft cloth and set close, not hidden. Presence can hold what the hands cannot mend. Yet, for those facing decisions or fear, offer the plea guide the next step. Keep the phrasing quiet. Picture a narrow bridge and a steady hand at the rail. The prayer is not a demand for a map. It is a request for steady footing for the coming days. Now include a short thanksgiving. Name one small kindness from today. It can be a cup of warmth, a kind word, a safe arrival home. Speak the gratitude softly. Gratitude is a small lamp that steadies the eyes of the soul. If belief feels thin tonight, there is no need for grand speech. A single sentence whispered inward is enough. Allow me to be near mercy. Let that be the breath that follows the other phrases. Mercy does not require certainty. It only requires a hand held open. Pause for a long breath now. Inhale slowly. Hold a beat. Exhale fully. Let the phrases you spoke settle into the ribs like small stones placed in a shallow bowl. Each stone does not demand you carry it for the whole night. There is a moment to listen. After the inward prayer, sit with the silence for a little while. It is in that pause that the steady presence often replies. Not in words, but in a soft unclenching. Feel for that unclench in the jaw and shoulders. Notice any slight ease. If words return, let them be simple. A short phrase of surrender helps. I give this for a time. That giving is not the final surrender of courage. It is the small act of setting something down so rest can begin. Rest is a gift that prepares the heart for courage tomorrow. I offer a tiny image to carry into sleep. Picture a harbor at dusk. The water is still enough to hold the lamp's reflection. A single rowboat floats, tied, but free to sway. Now imagine stepping into that boat and letting it keep you for a few hours. You do not have to navigate. You only have to be steady. Before closing this moment, place a hand again over the heart. Feel the warmth. Breathe 3 gentle times. With each out-breath, let a small release occur. Release 1 regret, 1 plan, 1 fear. Do not try to fix them. Let them find their place on the shelf of the mind. There is a short blessing to speak inwardly now. Say, may mercy meet what is weary, and may rest come without hurry. Let the words be like a thin shawl. They do not change the world at once. They change the immediate room within the chest. If sleep is slow to come, repeat 1 phrase quietly on the out-breath. Choose a soft word rest. Be held. Peace. Keep the repetition light. The phrase becomes an anchor for the wandering mind. When thoughts return, drift back to the word without reproach. A brief practical thought helps the body as well. Unclench the jaw. Soften the brow. Let the tongue rest behind the teeth. Allow the shoulders to fold in a little. These small adjustments tell the nervous system that the time for vigilance is passing. Tonight, a short prayer for another can be offered silently. Think of someone who needs tenderness. Picture them safe. Speak 1 line for them. Keep them near mercy tonight. The act of praying for another loosens the chest. It widens the space in the heart. I stay here as you do this. My voice holds a steady pace. There is no hurry to finish. The night invites a slow closing. The reading of Scripture will come again soon. For now, let this prayer be a small shelter. If sleep arrives, accept it gently. Let the eyelids become curtains. Allow the breath to lengthen. If wakefulness returns, return to the phrases. Do not measure the night by perfect rest. Value the small reliefs. They add up. When the time comes to end this guided moment, take 1 final deep breath. Inhale calm. Exhale trust. Offer a simple, inward word of thanks or of quiet trust. It need not be elaborate. A single phrase is enough. I will leave you with a short assurance. You are not alone in this hour. Mercy is near in small. Steady ways. Rest is permitted. Hope is patient. Sleep will come when it chooses. Meanwhile, the night holds you like a lamp held at the bedside. Close the book in the mind, if that helps. Let the lamp's circle be the last sense before the edges soften. I stay a moment longer, watching the room breathe. When rest surrounds you, No, it arrives with mercy. When dawn comes, the small work of this night will have done some quiet mending. Now breathe once more. Place the hand over the heart. Let the breath lead. I will read again soon. For this hour, allow the prayer to be the care that keeps you. Sleep when you can. Rest well. The lamp keeps its circle. The night listens. I hold the small book and turn to a short letter. I often visit. My thumb marks the page. Tonight the verse sits like a quiet promise about a kind of peace that guards the heart and the mind. I do not recite it exactly. I speak the sense. The idea moves like a slow bell in the chest. Peace here is not merely the absence of noise. It is a steady presence that stands as a gentle guard. Picture a low hedge around a small garden. The hedge keeps out wild things without making the garden a fortress. It lets the air come and the rain fall. It keeps the tender plants safe while allowing light and sky. This is the kind of guarding the passage speaks of. Not a hard shut door, a careful keeping. Place a hand over the chest if that feels right. Feel the subtle rise and fall beneath the palm. The hand can be a reminder of the place to be guarded. Breathe in slowly. Count to 3. Let the exhale be a little longer. Breathe out for 5. The breath becomes a simple watch. Each breath is a soft step of the guard around the heart. The guarding image need not be stern. Think instead of soft light that moves like a slow tide. It gathers around the chest and the temples. It does not lock away thoughts. It notices them. It allows them to pass without letting them take root. A thought may come like a bird to the hedge. The bird rests briefly. The hedge does not chase it away with force. It simply keeps the garden safe. When anxious images return, name them as they arrive. Name them quietly, like saying the weather, a worry about tomorrow, a memory that still stings. Give it a short name and set it gently on the bedside table of the mind. Visualize the guard, taking note of the object and placing it where it will not press on the heart. The object is not ignored. It is witnessed and kept at a distance for now. I read the verse aloud in my head and let its sense sink in a peace that watches over both feelings and thoughts. It is a peace that surpasses the need to have everything sorted. It does not demand explanations. It offers steadiness before full understanding arrives. That steadiness can be trusted even when the mind is restless. Try a small practice with the eyes closed. Picture a soft, slow-rotating lantern above the chest. Its light is warm and amber. With each inhale, the light widens a little. With each exhale, it settles and becomes denser around the heart. Let the lantern move up towards the forehead for one breath and down towards the belly for the next. The movement is unhurried. It draws a ring of light that keeps watch. The mind will try to test the guard. It will bring up lists and names. When that happens, return to the lantern. Watch its slow rotation. Let the words pass like leaves in the wind. Do not try to stop them. Allow the peace to notice them and to choose which are allowed to cross into the heart. The act of noticing is itself a kind of rest. There is a physical shift that follows this practice. The jaw loosens. The shoulders loosen their tension. The neck eases. The hands, if placed on the belly, or the chest. Relax. The nervous system senses the permission to let go. Small pockets of tightness begin to unlace themselves. Sometimes peace arrives as a border rather than a balm. It can set a limit around the things to be carried tonight. Imagine a small gate at the foot of a path. The gate is closed for the night. The day's tasks remain beyond it, waiting safely until morning. For now the gate keeps the heavy work from pressing on the sleep. The choice to close the gate is an act of mercy. If a heavy regret returns, do not try to make it vanish. Instead, give it a place outside the gate. See the regret as a folded letter. Put the letter into an envelope. Address it simply tomorrow. Slide it through the letterbox and close the envelope. The regret rests where it can be seen and opened later when strength returns. Tonight, the heart is not obliged to read every paper. I speak softly from the book about this kind of guarding. The words I read are plain and patient. They do not press for clarity. They invite confidence. The invitation feels like a hand that steadies the shoulder rather than a command. Hear it as a slow assurance. Something is watching that will not let the heart be overwhelmed. Mercy joins the guarding. Mercy does not erase feeling. It meets it kindly. Picture a small cup of tea placed at the bedside of the heart. Sip from it when the chest feels hot. The warmth slows the rush. Mercy is the sensation of being seen without being judged. It comforts the places that are raw and worn thin. Another simple exercise: breathe into a single image of stillness. Imagine a small pond of polished stone. The surface reflects a pale moon. The moon does not try to fix the pond. It simply rests there. Let the reflection be an emblem of the mind that is still enough to receive light. With each breath, allow the reflection to become clearer. The clearer it becomes, the less the mind needs to scramble. The guarding piece also looks out for the mind. It watches the stream of thought. When anxious patterns begin to loop, ask the guard a short question. Is this necessary now? Often the mind's urgent worries are not needed in the night. The guard's answer is a gentle no. The question and answer is not an argument. It is a small course correction. I remember a night when worry felt like an urgent call. The phone did not ring. The worry continued anyway. After a few breaths like the ones I have described, the sound of the worry quieted. It did not vanish, but it lost its sharp edge. That night rest arrived in small waves, not instantly perfect, not heroic, just enough stillness to carry into morning. If sleep resists, keep the breath, the work, slow. Steady breaths are the sentries that keep panic from racing ahead. Count in for 3. Count out for 5. Let each exhale be a little longer than the inhale. The lungs then communicate to the body that this hour is for easing, not for doing. The heart learns to lower its vigilance. A tender truth I often return to is this peace that guards the heart is not a sign of weakness. It is a resource. It is a care that keeps the inner life from being battered into exhaustion. Accepting it is not passivity. It is choosing health. It is giving the self permission to be tended. Before sleep, name 3 small things that the guarding piece can watch over tonight. Keep the list tiny. One might be a particular worry. One might be a small grief. One might be the anxious thought about tomorrow's task. Speak them softly. Then imagine the guard arranging them neatly on a shelf by the lamp. The items do not disappear. They are simply set in order so the mind can rest. A short, inward letting go helps. Hold the breath for a gentle beat. Then exhale and say a single soft phrase, like keep watch. No long sermon, no exact words required. The phrase is trust in action. It moves the weight from clutched hands to a steady holder. I remain the voice by the bedside. The book rests in my lap. The lamp keeps its circle. When the breathing is slower and the lantern image remains steady, allow the eyelids to close. Let the guard of peace do its work. Sleep, when it comes, will be carried gently. If wakefulness returns, return to the practices without reproach. The night is not a place for hurry. It is a place for patient keeping. The peace I read about is steady in that way. It watches. It holds. It allows the heart and the mind to be both seen and sheltered. Trust the guard, even if understanding lags behind. In a few moments, I will read a few soft lines that carry this sense. I will speak slowly and leave pauses like steps. For now, rest the hands. Keep the palm over the chest if it comforts. Breathe in, breathe out. Place one small worry on the mental bedside table. See the lantern of peace widen and keep watch as the room grows quieter. When sleep comes, let it carry you like a small boat on calm water. When wakefulness returns, meet it with the same gentle practice. The guarding peace is patient. It is not hurried. It will be there again when the lamp is relit. For now, let the watch begin. Let the heart and the mind be kept safe through the night. Efren arrives after dusk. The street light has just blinked on. A tired coat folds into a chair. The shoulders speak of long hours. The eyes hold small. Repeated worries. The room keeps a calm hush. The lamp makes a gentle island of light on the table. She sits across from me. Her voice is quiet when she speaks. She says, sleep will not come. The list in her head runs like small beads on a string. Each bead is a worry. Each worry keeps her awake. I reach for the small book and set it between us. The pages are familiar. The spine knows the bend from many nights. The lamp rests close. The kettle is still warm from tea. The cup warms both hands when it is offered. Small warmth changes the line of the face. We begin a short ritual. The ritual is simple. A breath, a slow count, a gentle letting go. The breath acts like a small ferry. It carries one thought at a time. The ferry does not rush. It returns again and again. I tell a brief story first. It is of a cottage not far away. A friend there used to wake at every creak. He built a shelf by his bed. On the shelf he put little things. A smooth pebble, a small carved bird. A note folded once. Each thing stood for one worry. At night, he took one worry from his pocket and laid it on the shelf. He did not solve it. He only gave it a place. Over time, the shelf did its work. The worries sat. They stopped crowding the pillow. She listens with a lamp between us. The light makes a gentle pool on the table. The idea of a shelf feels possible. The face relaxes a fraction. The shoulders move down a bit. Next, I place the book in my lap and paraphrase a passage that has steadied many nights. The paraphrase is short. It says that those who are tired may come and find rest. The tone is an invitation. Nebera de man. The words settle like a soft hand on the shoulder. The friend lets them in without argument. The breath softens. We make a small plan, not a strategy to fix everything, only a plan for one night. One worry is named and set aside for the morning. One small kindness is chosen for the next day. One tiny goal is given where there was once a list. The plan is modest and therefore doable. The heart takes a breath for the first time in hours. A practice follows. Eyes close, if that feels right. I speak slowly. Think of a lantern that hangs just above the bed. Its glow does not demand brightness. It only keeps a steady light. Imagine walking toward that light. Imagine stepping from a busy path onto soft grass. The feet notice the change. The grass gives, the stride slows. She pictures the lantern. A small smile crosses the features. The breath lengthens. The count becomes steady. 1, 2, 3 in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out. The lungs remember their slow work. The body relaxes further. Tiny muscles unclench. I offer a small object as a tool. A glass jar sits on the table. A narrow slip of paper waits beside it. She writes one worry on the slip. The hand trembles. But the writing is neat. The paper folds and slides into the jar. The lid closes with a soft click. The jar sits now on the shelf of the mind, not in the hand of the heart. We do not pretend the worry vanishes. It is simply placed. That small ceremony matters more than the words. It moves a weight from the chest to a physical place. The act is both practical and symbolic. The body notices the shift. A short prayer comes next. Gentle and without form. It asks for quiet more than answers. It asks for mercy more than explanation. The prayer is a breath that moves through the room. It does not press for change. It only asks for a softer night. The friend remembers a kindness she received earlier in the week. A neighbor left soup on the porch. A text arrived that read simply thinking of you. A small laugh happened at lunch. Naming such mercies is part of the work. The list of kindnesses is short, but it grows when noticed. Gratitude, even small, steadies the mind. I suggest a practice for the hands. Place them lightly on the belly. Feel the rise and fall below the palms. The hands act like gentle anchors. Each out-breath becomes an offering of tension. Each in-breath brings a hint of calm. The rhythm sets itself without force. The night deepens. Rain begins to move against the window. The sound is patient and polite. The friend listens. The rain and the breath fall together in a slow duet. The mind stops racing so hard. It folds inward like a map closing. I read a short portion from the book. The words are paraphrased into soft phrases about green fields and steady guidance. The sense is plain. A path exists where steps are safe. The voice that leads there does not push. It walks alongside. The paraphrase sits like a small shawl across the shoulders. She imagines herself on the path. The lamp of the story lights the way. The ground is even. Small wildflowers brush the ankles. There is no urgency in the air. The body remembers how to be in the world, without holding every corner. A moment of silence follows the reading. The silence is not empty. It is a thin curtain. Sound comes through it gently. The room breathes in the pause. Small movement returns to the hands. The jaw releases. Forgiveness comes as part of the night. Not necessarily between people, though it can be. Sometimes forgiveness is given to oneself. She names a small regret and sets it beside the jar. The night does not demand confession. It asks only for honesty. The gesture loosens a tight knot. A gentle practice for the eyes helps next. Imagine the lids are like curtains in a small room. Draw them slowly shut. See the light soften behind them. Do not force sleep. Allow the curtains to lower at their own pace. The eyelids will fall when the body tells them to. Another small tool appears. A phrase. Repeated quietly on the outbreath. Choose a word that keeps the mind from running. Peace. Rest. Be held. The word must be soft. The friend selects one and breathes it like a quiet bell. The repetition steadies the attention. We keep the pace very slow. No long speeches. No heavy ideas. Only short images. A few breaths. And small actions. The work is simple. Move one worry to a jar. Nomel Ginnesh. Breathe slowly. Repeat a calm word. She mentions a fear about tomorrow. It sounds large in the dark. I suggest a small compromise. Place a tiny plan for 10 minutes in the morning. Not a full schedule. Just 10 minutes to look at the worry with fresh eyes. The night does not have to carry the decision. Tomorrow can hold it when the mind is rested. A cat hops onto the chair and curls into a soft knot. Its purr is a low, quick drum. The sound is ordinary and holy in this quiet. The friend's shoulders drop a little more. The presence of the animal is like a promise that life keeps going, and that small creatures can be witnesses to our rest. I read one more gentle line from the book. The sense speaks of a companion who walks with the weary. The paraphrase is brief and plain. It is an invitation to trust the night as a time of care. Not a test. The words, rest. The room listens. Sleep arrives slowly. It does not rush in. It opens like a door when pushed lightly. The friend breathes deeper. The face smooths. The hands relax on the blanket. The jar sits on the shelf. Quiet and waiting. The lamp keeps its circle of light. Soft and steady. Before leaving the chair, I fold the book and mark the page. The lamp is turned down one notch. The room becomes a place made for sleep. The breath continues, its slow pattern. The cat shifts, and the purr becomes the last sound heard clearly. A final small thought is offered inwardly, not loud. Ask for mercy for the night. Ask for a gentle hope to hold until morning. The request is short. It is easy to keep. I remain a little while longer as the house breathes. The night holds her now. The presence that was read about sits quietly at the bedside. Like a watchful friend, the lamp dims. Sleep deepens When the morning comes, small steps will begin. The jar will be opened if needed. The list will be touched with clearer eyes. For now, the rest is the work that matters. The night does its quiet mending. I will read again soon. For now the friend sleeps. The room keeps its hush. The book rests where it will be found. The lamp breathes its last soft light, and the house moves through the night with mercy and a quiet hope. The lamp is low. The room breathes in the same slow rhythm. I sit where the chair keeps the best light. The book rests open. My thumb marks the place. Tonight, I turn to a line that has kept many nights gentle for me. I do not repeat it word for word. I hold its sense like a small lantern. There is a promise that speaks of lying down and sleeping without fear. It names a kind of peace that comes from being watched over. I feel that promise as a steady shelter rather than a bright thunderbolt. It is the kind of shelter that holds the body and the memory at once. The idea is simple. The wound of worry does not have to be the last thing to visit the bedside. Listen with the whole of you. Not only with the ears. Feel the mattress under the body. Notice the warm count where the ribs rise and fall. Let the hand rest lightly on the chest, if that helps. The palm can be a small map of breath. Each rise is a letter of assurance. Each fall is a letting go. Imagine a roof that has stood a long while. It knows how to keep out rain. It keeps out both loud storms and quiet chills. The roof is not boastful. It does not promise a perfect day. It promises shelter. Tonight, the same kind of careful keeping is offered. The promise does not remove the weather. It simply provides a safe place within it. There is an old image that returns to me. It is of a small house with thick walls and a low window. A light sits by the sill. Someone stands just inside. Patient and steady. They do not rush in with explanations. They only tend the simple needs. They close the shutters from time to time. They offer a cup of calm. That person is like the presence named in the psalm. The presence does not have to be loud to be real. Place one thought on the bedside table of the mind. Give it a name. It need not be a long sentence. A single word will do: fear, tomorrow, pain, dead, loss. Lift it in the imagination and set it beside the lamp. See the lamp's pool of light fall over it. The act of naming does not solve the thing. It gives it a place. That small place is a start. Sleep is allowed in safe houses. The verse I hold says not that harm never comes. It says that dwelling in care makes sleep possible. There is a difference. The night can still hold edges. The promise only makes the edges less sharp. A watched heart finds room to loosen its grip. Muscles that clenched stand down. The jaw relaxes. The hands open. Try a single breath exercise with me. Inhale slowly, filling the belly and the chest. Hold for a gentle beat. Exhale fully, and imagine the worry on the bedside table moving a fraction farther from the pillow. Repeat this 3 times. Do not aim for a miracle. Aim for a small shifting of weight. The body remembers slow rhythms. The nervous system responds to lengthened exhales. The mind follows the body. This presence that watches is both tender and practical. It knows the contours of a life. It does not demand a confession of perfect faith. It only asks that the heart be honest enough to place its burden somewhere other than the collarbone. The act of placing is itself an act of trust. It is quiet. It is intimate. It is enough for tonight. There are nights when the mind insists on rehearsing catastrophes. It shows scenes as if they are rehearsals for a disaster. When that happens, imagine a small gate at the threshold of the mind. Close it gently for the night. Tell the mind that the work will be there in the morning, and that it can be opened again when the body has rest. Closing the gate is not denial. It is a compassionate choice for health. I remember a night when the chest felt raw, with several small losses. The light was thin. The clock was honest. I did not need to solve anything then. I needed a place to set the ache. The small ceremony of naming one loss and putting it in a drawer helped. The drawer did not change the loss. It made space for sleep to begin. Morning came as it always does. The ache was still there, but the body had been mended enough to move. Safety when we sleep has a listener in it. The idea of being watched evokes an attentive care that notices stumbles and cushions falls. Think of a friend who watches over a child as they sleep. The friend does not make the night perfect. The friend simply stays. That staying is the form of safety we speak of tonight. It is not a passive absence. It is an active, steady keeping. If fear presses in, make a small prayer without words. A breath can carry it. A single phrase inwardly spoken will do keep me here. Keep this safe. Say it once and rest. The prayer need not be eloquent. The night prefers plain speech. Mercy often comes in a short line and a long silence. There is comfort in ordinary provisions. A blanket that lies heavy on the knees. A window slightly cracked so the air moves. A glass of water close at hand. These are many small mercies. They do not look like doctrine. They look like care. Assemble them now in the bedside imagination. Let the presence named in the psalm move among them. Tucking the blanket more snugly. Checking the latch. Pouring a silent cup for those with grief too large for words. Place the grief in the imagination's lap like a sleeping child. Hold it tenderly for a moment. Then lift it and set it down by the lamp. Promise nothing grand. Promise only to watch it be there and to come back in the morning with gentler hands. That act of tender placement can lighten the night enough for a breath to lengthen. There is a practical rhythm to this trust. In the evening, make small, habitual acts that speak of safety. Turn off screens a little earlier. Close one extra door. Read a paragraph that soothes rather than excites. Do not try to fix tomorrow by frantic planning. Instead, plan one small, manageable thing for the next day. The rest of the list can wait. Habitual smallness steadies the spirit. I read aloud very slowly now. Not to teach, but to offer tone. The words are plain. They say lie down, sleep. There is a dwelling made safe. Receive that picture, as if you were stepping into a familiar room. Feel the sofas give. Feel the soft rug underfoot. Let the senses collect into an immediate simplicity. The mind wants to expand into explanations. Let it instead fold into the simplicity of the moment. If rest does not come at once, do not mark the hour as failure. There are many kinds of rest. Some are quiet watching. Some are soft thinking. Both are rest when done without sharp judgment. Stay with the breath. Keep the small lantern image nearby. When light dozes and sound thins, sleep will find the readiness you have made. Before I close this part of the night, place your hand where it feels steady. Feel the rise and fall beneath. Let the breath be a small metronome. On the out-breath, imagine the presence of care making sure the pillow is right. On the in-breath, receive the calm that comes by being observed with tender attention. Repeat this a few times. The house is still. The lamp keeps its circle. The friend who slept earlier breathes in the next room. The cat moves once and settles. Outside, the small sounds of the night continue as they always do. They are not threats. They are the song of the world. Within that song, a safe dwelling is held by a care that will not abandon the night. I will stay a little while longer. My voice will be a small tide against the dark. If sleep comes now, let it come like a gentle closing of curtains. If it does not, let the assurance that you dwell in safety hold you like a shawl. The promise is not a removal of pain. It is the provision of a quiet place to bear it. When the lamp is dimmed, imagine the presence moving from lamp to lamp until all lights are soft. Trust that this tending continues even when the eyes are closed. Sleep is permitted. Sleep is safe. Rest now under the watch that neither blames nor demands. Let the night do its quiet mending. I remain near, reading the gentle words that keep the house unafraid. Sleep when you will. You are kept. The lamp is low. The room breathes in the same slow rhythm. I sit near the bed and place my hand on the small book. Tonight's thought moves toward morning. The aim is to help the heart rise with hope. The scene is gentle. The language stays simple. Begin by picturing a slow morning. Do not force details. Let them come like light through curtains. Imagine first light, not glare. A soft band crosses the pillow. It warms the cheek like a quiet promise. The air tastes cool and clean. A faint sound rises from outside. It might be a bird. It might be a distant engine. Accept what comes. Each small sense is a friend to the waking. See the hand that first meets the day. It slides to the bedside and finds the familiar edge of a glass or a watch. Fingers wake before the thoughts do. The body remembers the work of rest. The eyelids lift as if they are pages turning. A single breath inhales the morning. That breath is enough to begin. Think of a small ritual for the first minutes. Not a long list. One gentle thing. Maybe a stretch that lengthens the spine. Maybe a cup of warm water held for a few heartbeats. Maybe a tiny note that reads, "Tomorrow is possible. Choose one." Let the ritual be short and kind. The first act of the morning sets the tone for the rest. Imagine the scent of something ordinary. Toast, coffee, tea, or the clean smell of linen. Let the nose recall the memory of comfort. The smell tethers the mind to the present. It says you woke to this. You are here. The world offers a steady round of small gifts. Receive them slowly. Hold the idea that mercy renews. The night carries forgiveness. The dawn does not condemn the dark. Rather, it shows that a new day arrives with care. Picture mercy as dew on grass. Each blade catches a small light. Nothing grand happens at once. Small refreshings appear where they are needed. Let that thought sit like a thin shawl across the shoulders. I read scripture to guide such images. I do not pass theology now. I let the sense of the words move like a hand across a map. A simple passage often feels like this mercy comes again when the sun returns. The promise does not demand performance. It invites trust. Remembering this helps the morning breathe. Practice a brief waking prayer in the mind. Keep it one line. No long speeches. A single sentence is enough. Something like, "Make this morning gentle and true." Say it softly. Let it rest in the chest. The prayer is not a work. It is a small handing over. The heart learns to receive rather than to perform. Now imagine the first steps of action. They are tiny. A sock pulled on. A kettle switched to simmer. A message checked. Then set aside. Do not plan the whole day here. Choose the next small, doable act. A tiny plan is steady. It prevents overwhelm. It anchors hope in a concrete first thing. See a face you might meet. It could be a neighbor, a child, a colleague, or the image of your own reflection. Imagine offering a small smile. It changes the shape of a morning. A soft expression opens a room. Do not expect grand outcomes. Expect the small ripple that warms whatever is close. If there is worry about tasks or choices, let the first morning step be observation. Ask one question. What is one thing that needs attention? Now, the answer can be as small as straightening a cushion. The very act of naming one small task offers control without strain. Morning answers questions more kindly than night does. Imagine waking with a hopeful heart. Hope is not a shout. It is a steady thread. It ties a single bright moment to another. See that thread like a narrow beam through the curtain. It will not do everything. It will only mark a line that can be followed. Follow it gently. Make a plan for mercy in action. Forgive one small failing from yesterday. Not by sermon. By a simple repair, send a note. Make a phone call. Korrektamistake. Or do nothing at all if that is wise. Small amends stitch the day's fabric. Mercy moves forward when it is practical and modest. That motion loosens night's heavy holds. Hold tight to one steady sentence to carry into morning. Keep it soft. Repeat it on the first out-breath. Words like, be gentle. Breathe slow. I am held. Choose a phrase that fits the heart tonight. The phrase will become an anchor. The body learns it. The voice of the heart then follows. There is benefit in a brief visualization of waking refreshed. Picture rising and feeling water on the face. Imagine the cool touch smoothing a thought. Picture muscles that were tight the night before, loosening as if someone had untied small knots. The physical shift matters. The body carries the mind. Gentle changes nurture both. As the mind pictures the morning, include this one small image: sunlight on a table. There is a plate with a simple meal. A cup steams. A book lies open. The world outside starts its ordinary motion. None of it depends on perfection. Each element is enough. Let that sufficiency be the morning promise. If fear wakes alongside hope, address it with a single breath. Breathe in, breathe out long. On the out-breath, imagine placing the fear on a small shelf by the door. It remains there, not forgotten, but not pressed to the chest. The morning can begin with some burden set down, so hands are free. Remember that hope is practiced. It grows by small deeds. A gentle choice in the first hour will shape the rest. Choose kindness to oneself. Choose a short stretch. Choose one small work. Let the day find its larger shape after the body has had a chance to wake. I will guide a short breathing pattern that helps move night toward morning. Breathe in through the nose for 3 counts. Hold 1 beat. Exhale through the mouth for 5 counts. Imagine the exhale carrying a thin mist of night away. Repeat this 4 times. With each cycle, the chest softens. The mind becomes willing to face daylight. Now, picture being met at the threshold of the day. Someone is there who understands tiredness and weakness. The presence is not distant. It stands near, waiting with compassion. The morning is not only an opportunity to do, it is an opportunity to be received. Let that reception shape the first steps. I speak a short scripture sense now about morning strength. It says that each day brings mercies that are sufficient for our needs. The words are not a promise of effortless living. They are a promise of steady help. Take that promise lightly and keep it firm. It is practical. It is small. It is real. As sleep arrives, rehearse the waking image once more. See the light on the table. Hear a small sound outside. Feel the breath filling the chest. Let the last waking thought be one of hope, not a list. A hopeful image prepares the nervous system as much as any plan. The body receives it and relaxes. Set a small intention now for tomorrow. 1 line will do. Perhaps rise with kindness. Greet the day with a soft heart. Keep the first step gentle. Fold the intention into the pocket of the mind. Do not clutch it tightly. Let it rest like a note in a book you mean to open in the morning. If waking requires a practical aid, place one near the bed, a glass of water, a lamp on a timer, a folded note with the chosen phrase. Small things support large motions. They are the invisible hands of care that help a weak morning become a steady one. Offer one brief, inward prayer for waking. Keep it simple. Ask for refreshed breathing. Ask for a hopeful heart. Ask for gentleness in the first hour. The prayer needs no eloquence. It is a tiny turning toward trust. Mercy meets that openness. Let the mind picture daylight arriving slowly. Imagine the room taking off its night clothes and stepping into a robe of light. The curtain breathes. The floor remembers the weight of a foot. These images are humble. They are enough to shape a morning. I will read again in the early hours. For now the best work is rest. Sleep gathers the body for morning tasks. The night mends small frays. Give it time. Allow mercy to finish its quiet work. Close the eyes when it feels right. Place a hand over the chest. Feel the steady rise and fall. Let the final image be a narrow beam of light through the curtain and a small, steady thread of hope tied gently to the heart. Rest now. Wake, refreshed. Meet the new day with a hopeful heart. I will be here to read again when the lamps are relit and the morning has settled into its simple, faithful rhythm. The lamp throws a soft circle. The book opens in my hands. Tonight I turn to a quiet passage I visit often. I do not speak the words exactly. I tell the sense of them. The lines say that compassion does not fail. They say mercy meets each morning, fresh as bread. The thought settles like cool air across a fevered forehead. I read in a voice that moves slowly. I let the pauses be as important as the words. The room listens. The page breathes with the lamp. The heart finds a rhythm in the spare cadence. This is not a lesson. It is a simple assurance. Compassion that does not fail is not lightning. It is not sudden drama. It is the slow return of a reliable thing. Imagine a well that never runs dry. It does not gush in a single show. It gives sip by sip. The giving is steady. The cup becomes full again and again. Mercy that is renewed in the morning has a pattern. It is a daily kindness. It is ordinary and persistent. Picture dew on the sill at sunrise. The drops look small. Each one glints. Together they cover everything. The brightness does not erase the cold. It warms what it touches just enough for the next breath. That smallness holds a whole promise. When I read this passage, a memory comes. A winter morning years ago. The house is bare and thin with coal. A kettle begins to sing. The kettle's steam fills the room like forgiveness. A neighbor brings bread that someone baked in the night. The loaf is not perfect. It is plain and warm. The single slice tastes like mercy. It is not a miracle. It is a steady supply. Mercy in the text is like that bread. It is something to be received. It is not earned by proof. It arrives the way a fresh loaf arrives each morning, whether hands are ready or not. That is the quiet comfort of the idea. There is no requirement to have everything fixed before the dawn. I guide the room to a small practice now. Close the eyes if it helps. Picture the first light lifting at the window. Imagine one thing from today laid down gently on a small wooden table. It might be a worry. It might be a sharp memory. Give it a name. Place it there. Do this in the mind. Then imagine a single morning mercy setting beside the object. It could be a scrap of kindness, a friend's text, a cup poured without hurry. See the two resting side by side. The act is tiny and practical. It does not pretend the trouble is gone. It makes room. The hands become less full. The chest inherits a small ease. Night can hold that ease now. The morning will keep its promise of renewed mercy. The cycle is simple. The night hands the day a burden. The day returns a small bread of solace. Hold the image of a kitchen at dawn. A faint oven glow. A pan of dough rising slowly. The bread is patient in its shaping. It tolerates rest. When the oven's warmth arrives, the loaf responds. The metaphor is gentle. Growth often needs steady heat, not frantic effort. So the soul mends by quiet tending and by the simple arrival of mercies in each morning. There is a careful difference between mercy and quick fixes. Mercy is not a sudden erasure. It is a mending that keeps the pattern of life intact. It is the slow work of adding thread where fabric thins. Over time the pieces hold again. The shape of the life becomes usable. That kind of repair matters in the small hours. Listen now as I paraphrase the passage softly. The tone is warm, not doctrinal. Its music says that compassion is vast and steady, that mercy finds each morning. That morning brings a new measure for those who are tired. The idea sits like a hand on the back. It does not interrogate, it holds. Mercy connected to morning gives permission. Permission to sleep even when the work is unfinished. Permission to close the list and trust that another day will come. Permission to let small failures be part of a larger continuing. These permissions are practical. They make rest lawful, not indulgent. I take a breath with you. Breathe in calmly. Hold a gentle beat. Breathe out slowly. On the out-breath, imagine the mercy of the morning arriving now. Like a small light under the door, it finds the cracks. It slips in. It does not demand applause. It simply fills the room. If doubt rise, do not argue with it at length. Name it quickly. Say its name in the head. Then imagine the morning's mercy placing a small cloak over the doubt. The cloak is thin, but it warms. The act of placing is itself an acceptance that the worry will be tended, not abandoned nor magnified. There is also a communal shape to these words. Mercy renewed each morning is not only an individual comfort, it is a promise that beds are folded and ovens are warmed across households. Even when isolation feels true, many small acts of kindness still move in the world. Someone puts out bread. Someone remembers a call. Some hands make a cup and set it near another's. The pattern repeats. I tell the story of a cup left on a doorstep once. No noite. No fuss. A neighbor had heard of an illness and simply placed a warmed cup of broth and moved away. The gesture is unremarked, and yet everything changed in it. The body that receives warmth stores a memory. The heart learns that kindness is near. That neighbor's mercy was morning-like. It arrived without fanfare and kept its promise of returning. Hope sits in the passage like a safe ember. Hope does not need a roaring blaze. A glowing ember will return a flame if tended. The morning's mercy is that ember. Each dawn the ember is banked and kept ready. When courage seems small, this steady ember makes walking possible again. I speak gently about Christ here. Brief and simple, the assurance feels grounded in that presence. Mercy in Christ is shown as a steady, familiar caress. It does not argue. It comes near. It offers rest without demand. Naming this does not require heavy theology. It is simply the comfort of being known and kept. Prepare for sleep with one small motion. Reach out with the mind and pick one promise. The morning will keep. It can be as small as a fresh cup, or a new mind for a problem, or a chance to try again. Place that promise on the bedside table of the mind. Let it be the thing the eyes rest on when worry nudges. Let that one promise grow quietly. There is also a practice for the waking. Picture a first small act to accept the new mercy. Stretch. a moment at the window, a warm cup poured with no haste. Keep the action modest. The morning needs only a small hand to accept what returns. This gentleness becomes habit. Habits are the quiet architecture of a life. If grief presses this night, understand that the morning's mercy does not heal all at once. It does not minimize loss. It supplies a continuing kindness, a small note the next day, a neighbor who calls, the sun that still finds a place in the room. These are not cures. They are steady care. They let morning be lived without wearing the body to a thread. I read now for a few minutes. Slow and spare. The sense of the lines rests on the ear. They are like a lullaby. They remind the mind that compassion faces us and does not give way. They remind the body that bread and light can be placed into our hands again. When the reading finishes, sit with a long breath. Place a hand on the chest if that feels right. Feel the warmth. Notice the rise and fall. On the next exhale, release one small burden into the night. Do not try to fix it. Offer it, quietly, to the mercy that is renewed at dawn. I will remain for a few moments, breathing with the room. The lamp keeps its pool. The book rests. The idea of compassion that does not fail, and of mercies that come again each morning, folds into the quiet. Let it be enough for tonight. Sleep may come by degrees. If it does not, continue the small practice. Picture the morning's mercy as a fresh slice of bread placed on the table. Picture the neighborly cup at the doorstep. Picture dew that brightens every blade. Allow those images to build a soft house for the heart. Before the eyes close, speak one short effort of thanks inwardly. It need only be a single phrase. Thank you for new mercy. Let the phrase be a thin cord that ties the night to the next dawn. Mercy will meet the morning, as promised. Hope will do its patient work. I mark the page gently and set the book aside. The lamp stays dim. The room keeps its slow breathing. For now, rest under the quiet assurance that compassion does not fail, and that mercies come anew with each morning. The promise is steady. Sleep now. Wake to kindness. I will read with you again when the lamps are lit. Shaliu, a prayer for tomorrow's guidance. I close the book slowly and fold my hands in a quiet, simple way. The lamp keeps its circle. The room breathes with us. Now I offer a short prayer for the day ahead. It is not long. It is not ornate. It is a few honest lines spoken softly. I breathe in. I name the coming day as a place that will ask much. I breathe out and place those asks into a small palm of trust. Ask for steady guidance. Ask for a steady hand to lead the feet in small steps. Ask for grace to meet what comes without being worn down by it. I speak for strength that is gentle. This strength does not roar. It is patient. It helps a tired shoulder lift what must be lifted. It helps the mind see one next thing instead of every next thing all at once. I pray for strength that allows pause. I pray for strength that knows how to rest. I offer a request for mercy. Mercy that meets mistakes with a soft touch. Mercy that arrives like a warm cup in a cold morning. Mercy that lets the heart breathe when the past presses. I do not list failings. I simply ask that mercy be present where it is needed. I include a word for grace. Grace that finds its way into small moments. Grace that comes as a neighbor's kindness, as a note, as an unexpected laugh. Grace that does not demand payment. Grace that is a shawl draped over the shoulders of the day. I add a practical plea. Give clarity for choices that matter. Give calm for decisions that can wait. Help the hands know when to act and when to hold back. Help the eyes see the small, real things that matter more than a long, anxious map of possibilities. I hold a short thought for those who will be near tomorrow. Keep them safe in small ways. Let conversations be soft. Let burdens be shared in reasonable measure. Protect the fragile places. Make the household a place where return is welcomed and rest is allowed. I finish the prayer with trust rather than demand. I place the day gently in the hands that hold all nights and mornings. I do not try to fix what I cannot foresee. I hand it over like a cup given to a careful friend entrusted, not abandoned. A moment of silence follows. In that silence, let the words settle. No need to press them into shape. Let them be small seeds planted in quiet soil. The night will tend them. The morning will begin to water them. Now breathe slowly 3 times. Let each exhale be longer than the in-breath. With each out-breath, let the cares move a little farther from the neck and settle someplace safe. The body remembers these slow movements. The mind follows. Shi John. I open the book again and turn to the Gospel of John in my mind. I do not speak the verses word for word. I offer the sense of what the Gospel gives to nights like this. The passage I keep with me speaks of a presence that accompanies even when the path seems dim. It does not shout through the darkness. It moves close and steady. The image is of a lamp handed from person to person on a dim street. Each holder keeps the light for a while. Each hand finds the next and passes it on without hurry. That is how the care described in John often feels to me. The presence is not a distant rule. It is a companion who shares the road and the lamp. Listen now as I paraphrase quietly. The words invite rest by offering company. They do not erase the questions. They give a steady hand. Agam Shore. A place to rest beside the path. Hear that invitation like a low bell. Let it mark a rhythm for the breath. Imagine walking a narrow lane at dusk. The sky is soft and the air cools the face. Steps are careful and sure. Not rushed. The presence is beside you. Not ahead pressing you on. Not behind rebuking. It matches the pace of the feet. It knows the way and points to places where the ground is firm. The Gospel also speaks in images of belonging, a voice that calls by name, a door that opens gently for those who knock. This night, think of belonging as a small room with a single lamp. The room does not ask for proofs. It simply receives the one who comes inside. The act of entering is itself enough for this hour. When my mind grows restless, I picture a conversation between 2 steady breaths. The first breath is like the early note of the Gospel, come and find what you need. The second breath answers with a willingness to accept the invitation. The two breathe together, and the chest changes its shape. The heart becomes less tight. There is also an image of bread, and simple sharing in John's tone. Food is passed. Hans mate. The gesture is ordinary. It is not dramatic. That ordinariness is what comforts, the small sharing of what there is. The passing of a bit of bread becomes the daily shape of care. Think of tomorrow's resources in that spirit. Small, shared, sufficient for the next step. If fear is present, picture the presence beside you as one who steadies the shoulder. The gesture is quiet. It is a hand on the back, not a loud command. That steadiness is often enough to slow the mind and make the next small decision possible. The act is practical, not miraculous in a showy way. It changes how the body holds itself. A simple practice follows. Close the eyes if that helps. Picture a lamp in the mind. See its light spread slowly across the room of your thoughts. Let the edges soften. Name one worry and let the lamp touch it. The worry will not vanish. It will be seen in a lighter space. Seeing is a form of mercy. I speak now of trust in a quiet way. Trust does not demand a full understanding. It asks for a small step. To follow is not to leap into the abyss. It is to place the foot where another hand has placed theirs. A small trust taken tonight will shape a likely comfort for the next day. There is a line in John about staying close. Abiding. Stay here, in a small sense. Abide in breath. Abide in the lamp's light. Abide in the image of a shared loaf. These acts are tiny practices that hold through long nights. They are rhythms the heart can return to again and again. Let me offer a brief, calm meditation. Breathe in for 3. Hold lightly. Breathe out for 5. With each exhale, imagine the lamp's circle widening a little more. With each in-breath, feel the presence beside you. Do this for a few cycles. Keep the images simple. Keep the words inside the breath as soft labels. When the breath is steady, speak a small inward sentence. I am not alone. It need not be loud. It can be a quiet echo in the chest. Repeat it twice. Let it be a bridge between mind and body. The sentence is a small anchor, not a theological treatise. It steadies, and then is still. If sleep arrives, allow it to come. If wakefulness remains, keep the lamp image and the steady breath. Both will do their slow work. Neither demands perfection. Both ask for gentle attention. Rest need not be total to be healing. A small hour of calm counts. Before I close the book, I remind you gently of the coming morning. The Gospel's tone is not only for night, it is for the hours to come. The presence that keeps the night also walks into the day. The lamp is passed forward again and again. The light is not consumed. It moves. Hand it softly from one hand to the next. I place the book down now with care. The lamp's glow remains a circle for a while longer. The prayer for tomorrow rests like a sheet folded near the bedside. The presence of the Gospel is a steady companion that does not demand the cure of every wound. It promises company, small help, and the courage to be real. Rest now. Let breath guide the closing. Let the lamp's image be the last vision before the eyelids lower. Trust that the morning brings renewed mercy, and that a steady presence walks with the day's first steps. I will return soon with the next part. For now, sleep, be held, and wake to a gentle beginning. I sit with the book open in my lap. The lamp keeps its soft circle. A low hush fills the room. Tonight, I come back to a voice I have listened to many times. I do not recite exact words. I carry the sense of a promise that often steadies nights for me. It is the promise of a peace that remains when the world feels loud. The page breathes in the lamplight. I paraphrase slowly. The teaching I hold says this: there is a kind of peace left with those who walk through trouble. It is not the brittle quiet the world sells. It is not the absence of difficulty or a quick patch over a bruise. It is steadiness. It is a calm given to the heart so the mind does not need to race to find an answer. Hear that as if someone is beside you. The voice is soft. It says, "Do not let your heart be troubled." Let those words rest against the ribs rather than as an argument for perfection. The instruction is simple. It asks the heart to stop thrashing and to accept a presence that steadies, even when everything outside still shakes. I picture a narrow street at dusk. Lamps hang at intervals. A single lamp is handed from one person to the next. Each holder keeps the light a while and then passes it on. The light does not make the night vanish. It offers a way. It shows the next step without demanding a map of the whole journey. That is the kind of peace I mean. It is a light you carry and then share. When I read these phrases, I let the sound be slow. I allow space between each line so the sense can settle. Breathe with me now. Inhale for 3 counts. Hold gently. Exhale for 5. On the out-breath, imagine a small tension leaving the shoulders. Let the breath be the first gentle work of handing over a worry. This peace does not ask that the mind stop thinking. It asks that the mind stop tormenting itself. It asks for one small shift place, one thought on the bedside table of the mind. Name it. Let it sit there under the lamp. The act is not magic. It is a small habit that trains the hands and the heart. It makes room. I speak from the place of having practiced this. There are nights when lists feel like a tide. They rise and take the pillow. In those nights I set one list down and keep the rest where they can be reached in the morning. The pressure changes. The jaw loosens. The breath lengthens. Think of peace as a harbor rather than a fortress. A harbor keeps the boat from smashing on rocks. It does not stop the storm. It gives us space where mending is possible and where the oars can rest. Let the image hold. Your chest is a small boat. The peace offered is the harbor light and the rope that holds you still long enough to breathe. Tonight, when anxious thoughts arrive, I invite a small practice. Close the eyes if it helps. Picture a lamp at the bedside of the mind. See its circle of light widen slowly with each in-breath. With each out-breath, let a single worry move a little farther from the pillow. Do this 3 times. No long analysis, just this slow motion. The nervous system hears it. The body responds. There is a strange tenderness in the phrase. Do not let your heart be troubled. It is not a scolding. It is an encouragement toward peace. The heart knows its own burdens better than any sermon. The invitation is simply to rest them with someone who knows how to keep them. Imagine placing that weight into a pair of capable hands. They do not throw it away. They hold it and slowly sort it into places that can be mended. I recall a small scene from not long ago. The house was quiet, and a single voice read these words. A friend who slept little that week set a cup beside the bed and let the book close after the reading. She did not feel suddenly whole. She did feel less compelled to replay every sharp moment. The reading was a gentle permission to be imperfect and to rest anyway. That small permission made sleep possible. When I read to you, I avoid heavy debates. I aim for mercy. I seek assurance. The promise of this peace is practical. It reaches the trembling shoulder, the tight jaw, the restless mind. It says, I am near, and that nearness changes the shape of the night. It does not answer every question. It steadies enough for the next breath. If fear presses tonight, name it aloud in the quiet of the heart. Say one small phrase inwardly, I place this here. Let the words be an offering rather than a demand. The act of naming is a small prayer. The next breath carries it outward. The chest becomes lighter by inches, not by a thunderbolt. I read the sense of the scripture slowly again. The words promise a peace different from what the world gives. Worldly peace is often a silence bought by control or distraction. The peace I speak of is a settled companionship. It remains when storms roll by because it is rooted in a presence that will not abandon the night. Let me offer another simple image. Imagine a gardener tending small plants at dusk. The gardener waters, prunes, and covers tender shoots when the wind threatens. The care is matter-of-fact and steady. That care is the kind of tenderness that meets a troubled heart. It is patient, not theatrical. It knows what growth needs time, small repairs, and consistent presence. Practice one more short breathing pattern with me. Breathe in for 4. Hold lightly for a beat. Breathe out for 6. Saying your chosen calm word on the out-breath. Peace. Rest. Be held. Keep the word small and soft. Repeat for 4 cycles. Let the rhythm become an anchor. Now, place a hand on the chest if it comforts. Feel the rise and fall beneath the palm. Hear the lamp's small buzz. Let the mind hold this simple assurance. There is a peace offered that outlasts the noise. You do not need to manufacture it. Receive it as a small gift. Let it sit near your heart like a warmed stone. Before I move to close, I invite a brief reflection. Think of one small mercy you received today. It may be tiny, a kind word, a cup of warm tea, a brief laughter. Name it inwardly. Let the memory be a thread you keep for morning. Let that thread connect tonight to tomorrow without demanding a grand proof. I will paraphrase the closing lines softly now and let silence follow. The sense is this: if your heart is troubled, do not hold your breath in fear. Let the peace that is given be the pillow upon which you rest. Trust that the hand which offers it walks with you through the dark and into the first light. When the reading finishes, I wait a long moment in the hush. In that pause, let the breath deepen, let the shoulders lower, If sleep comes, accept it. If not, remain in the quiet with the lamp circle and the picture of a harbor. Rest can be partial and still true. Mercy keeps watch even when the eyelids are heavy. I will read again soon at the same slow pace. For now, keep what has been given close. Place one small worry on the bedside table of the mind. Let the lamp of peace warm it. Close the eyes when it feels right. Sleep may find you, if wakefulness stays. Let the quiet be companion for a little longer. Finally, offer one short sentence inwardly: do not let my heart be troubled. Let that sentence be a gentle prayer and a soft refusal to be owned by anxiety tonight. The peace is with you. Rest in it. I remain by the lamp until the night grows still and the next breath carries you nearer to sleep. I close the book and let my thumb rest on the page. The lamp throws a steady circle of light. The room breathes with the same slow rhythm. Tonight, I offer a final turning inward. I mean to leave a calm trail for sleep and for the mornings ahead. Settle into the place that holds you best. Adjust the pillow if that helps. Loosen the blanket if it has grown tight. Small changes matter. They tell the body it is safe to soften. I invite a simple breath now. Breathe in. Hold for a gentle count. Breathe out long. Repeat. Let the breath be the first small hymn of the night. It is plain. It is enough. Think of the day as a long path. Some parts were sunlit. Some parts were heavy. Do not try to retell every step. Name one moment that matters. It might be a small kindness, a sharp regret, a quiet surprise. Hold that moment softly. Let it be a place of learning rather than a verdict. Rest in the thought of grace. I do not explain it tonight. I point only to its shape. It is like a wide shawl draped across tired shoulders. It does not insist on perfection. It simply covers and warms. Let that image stay with the breath. Remember how mercy arrived earlier this week. Maybe it was a neighbor's word. Maybe it was a small fact that did not go wrong. Mercy often comes as a tiny repair. It does not shout. It patches what is fragile with steady stitches. Lean on those stitches for a while. Think also of love as a slow light. It is not always blazing. Sometimes it is a thin ray on a kitchen table. Sometimes it is a hand on a shoulder. Picture that light as God's kindness. It does not demand proof. It keeps company. It watches while the body and the mind do the small work of rest. There is a community that matters in this night. It is not a crowd. It is the neighbor down the hall who listens, the friend who calls a short hello, the family member who returns a message later than expected. These small connections build a field of peace. Foster them in little ways. If sharing feels right, make one small note tomorrow. It need not be long. A line of thought sent to a friend. A short message in a group saying, "I was thinking of you." A cup left at a doorstep. These plain acts pass along the grace that lifted a moment for you. They do not require perfection. They require presence. I suggest a small practice for fostering peace in community. Choose one name. Keep it simple. Send that person a memory of kindness you share. Or listen to them without trying to solve. Often the gift we offer is simply attention. Give it freely. Do not expect immediate change. Pay attention instead to the rhythm of returning care. Forgiveness belongs here too. Soft and practical, forgiveness does not require a long speech. It can be a small act, a note, an offered cup, an apology that is brief and honest. These acts are stitches. They hold ends together so the day can move forward. Try a small forgiveness tomorrow, if it is possible. Let it be a quiet thing that opens a door, not a dramatic event that closes others. Keep the porch light of mercy in view. If burdens press again, make a shelf for one worry. Picture placing that worry on the shelf by the lamp. It remains there. It is not lost. It is simply given a place until morning strength returns. This habit trains the hands and the heart. Tonight, offer a short, silent prayer with me. It does not need ornate words. Say inwardly, hold what is tired, meet mistakes with kindness, and make a small light for tomorrow. Speak it once, let it rest. Do not measure the depth of the prayer by its length. A single honest sentence will do. I will read a few lines softly now, in the same gentle tone. Let the sense, not the exact phrases, be the companion for the next breaths. Hear the rhythm more than the wording. Let the cadence match the slow drum of the heart. After that reading, remain in a long pause. In the pause, let one small assurance sink in grace is near. Mercy does not abandon the night. Love watches with patient hands. The assurance is a steady thing, not a sudden event. When the pause ends, consider a short act for tomorrow. One small kindness to give, one brief moment of listening to offer, one tiny task to set aside for now and meet with fresh eyes in the morning. This simple planning frees the night from carrying everything. As the session closes, practice a gentle body scan. Notice the feet. Let them soften. Move up through the legs. Allow hips to sink. Let the spine rest. Soften the jaw. Unclench the hands. These small releases teach the body its readiness to sleep. If worry still returns, use a single word like peace or rest. Repeat it softly on the exhale. Keep the repetition light. The word is an anchor that pulls the mind from spinning lists into a calmer orbit. Now imagine a circle of people you know. Picture them breathing at their own pace. Imagine them receiving the same small mercy. Send them a quiet blessing in your mind. Wish for their sleep to be soft. Wish for their wounds to find tender care. This act of blessing knits a community of peace from simple thoughts. Encourage one another to share reflections tomorrow. A quick message in a group. A short time at the end of a gathering to say what small mercy was noticed. These gentle sharings help build a neighborhood of attention. They teach practice. They make kindness habitual. If it is possible, meet with one trusted person soon. Share one small thought from tonight. No sermon. No long debate. A few honest lines about rest, mercy, or hope. Small conversations create steady change. They form the bones of a peaceful community. Before sleep, return to the lamp in the mind. Let its light warm the chest. Place one small hope near the lamp. It may be a hope for gentleness tomorrow. It may be the hope of a single kind act. Keep the hope modest. Modest hopes are often kept. Offer one last breath with me. Breathe in, hold, gently. Breathe out fully. On the out-breath, let a soft word fall peace. Let the rhythm slow. Let the room of the body become quiet. I will read to you again when the lamps are relit. For now I leave a short blessing. May mercy meet what is tired. May love surprise the ordinary hours. May a small community of care form around simple acts. These things are enough for tonight. Close the eyes when it feels right. Let the lamp in the mind be the last thing you see. Rest in the grace that covers the slow movements of the heart. Trust that the morning will bring fresh mercies. Trust that one small act of kindness tomorrow will matter. I stay a little while longer in the hush. My voice is low. My breaths are slow. The book rests at my side. The lamp keeps its circle. Sleep when it comes. Rest well. Be gentle with yourself and with others. Good night.